Hyunsa Kim recalls his very first time standing on a theater stage where he played a traveler during a performance at a kindergarten. Even though he did nothing but stand still, Hyunsa Kim received endless praise and thunderous applause from the audience as camera flashes went off repeatedly to capture the moment. That was the first time Hyunsa Kim felt the joy of being the center of attention. Harsh reality strikes when the director questions Hyunsa Kim about his poor acting skills. Hyunsa Kim hurriedly apologizes and asks to try again, but in return he only receives contempt from those around him. The director does not hesitate to criticize Hyunsa Kim's work ethic, claiming that not only is he a bad actor but he is also too arrogant for demanding another take. Hyunsa Kim stands frozen, his face still covered in clown makeup, showing clear signs of exhaustion and humiliation under the bitter scolding. This is the result of misguided effort. Hyunsa Kim can only sigh in helpless defeat. At a small tavern, Hyunsa Kim turns to alcohol to drown his sorrows after a terrible day. The sound of his glass hitting the table is as hollow as Hyunsa Kim's current mood. Hyunsa Kim questions himself whether he should humble himself and beg the director for another chance. Hyunsa Kim's face is still smeared with makeup, with sweat beading on his forehead. Hyunsa Kim calls himself a fool for stumbling during such a crucial scene, while a traveler beside him points and calls him a weirdo. Hyunsa Kim glances around, feeling as if every eye is fixed on him. Suddenly realizing he hasn't washed off his makeup yet, Hyunsa Kim hurriedly covers his face in embarrassment. Hyunsa Kim, at 28 years old, wonders if this acting path is truly meant for him. As an ambitious actor, Hyunsa Kim has always longed to shine. After graduating, Hyunsa Kim tried to leverage every connection to find opportunities, but he remained obscure. The audience remains indifferent, offering neither praise nor criticism, and Hyunsa Kim realizes he is just too ordinary. Indeed, being so ordinary that he is forgettable is Hyunsa Kim's biggest obstacle. Hyunsa Kim understands that no matter how many years pass, not everyone can become a star recognized by the world. Hyunsa Kim marvels at Young Mi Jin's acting ability on the screen. Hyunsa Kim's eyes are fixed on every movement Young Mi Jin makes on the TV. Hyunsa Kim knows that Young Mi Jin is a famous actress from long-running television dramas. Young Mi Jin is the soul of the film, making it impossible for viewers to look away. Hyunsa Kim secretly admires her. Hyunsa Kim yearns for the day he, too, can reach the heights that Young Mi Jin has achieved. Hyunsa Kim wants to bring joy to the audience, making them smile the way his parents once smiled during his performance years ago. That is the role model of an actor that Hyunsa Kim has always strived to be. Hyunsa Kim snaps out of it, realizing this is not the time to be drowning in alcohol. Hyunsa Kim tells himself to focus on reading the script instead of wasting time, slapping his face to regain his composure. Hyunsa Kim is determined to change, promising himself that from tomorrow he will become a better actor. As long as he keeps moving forward little by little, Hyunsa Kim believes that one day, suddenly, the screeching sound of tires rings out right beside him. Hyunsa Kim is stunned, his throat choked with fear, unable to speak. Hyunsa Kim only wanted to go home to finish reading his script, but a horrific accident struck at that very moment. Waking up in a dark alley, Hyunsa Kim is confused and wonders where he is. In the distance, Young Mi Jin is limping through the cold night, looking exhausted. Young Mi Jin seems to sense something unusual. She shivers slightly and keeps walking. A mocking laugh echoes from the shadows, making the air feel heavy. Inho-jo speaks up coldly, warning Young Mi Jin not to continue down that path. With a twisted smile, Inho-jo insists that it is nothing more than a dead end. Facing Inho-jo, Young Mi Jin stands frozen, fear clearly etched across her face. Young Mi Jin wails and begs, promising to do anything if only Inho-jo will let her go. Inho-jo looks surprised by Young Mi Jin's attitude, then asks back with a touch of sarcasm. Inho-jo nonchalantly asks why Young Mi Jin is trying to run away when he just wants to have a little fun. Inho-jo continues to mock her, calling Young Mi Jin's fear a strange thing. Trembling, Young Mi Jin swears to keep every secret, while Inho-jo is curious to know what terrifying thing she has discovered. Young Mi Jin doesn't stop pleading, insisting she won't reveal a single word. Inho-jo chuckles with glee at Young Mi Jin's desperation. While praising Young Mi Jin for being smart, Inho-jo raises his hammer high. Inho-jo bellows that it is precisely that intelligence that has doomed Young Mi Jin. Inho-jo's gaze turns cold, devoid of any mercy. Inho-jo prepares to deliver a brutal finishing blow. Young Mi Jin is stunned, her eyes wide with terror as death looms over her. A horrifying sound of impact echoes, and blood splatters into the night. Hyunsa Kim snaps awake, his eyes wide with shock. Hyunsa Kim finds himself lying in a hospital bed as a nurse anxiously asks if he can hear her. Hyunsa Kim is still reeling from the shock. He clearly remembers being hit by a truck, but strangely, his body remains completely intact. Young Mi Jin, the detective on duty, immediately denies it. She insists that Hyunsa Kim was just in shock, which caused him to fall and hit his head on the sidewalk. Young Mi-jin further explains that Hyunsa Kim has been hospitalized since the day before yesterday due to a concussion and had been unconscious for 2 days. Hyunsa Kim stares blankly into space. He vaguely recalls the memory of the fall on the sidewalk, but everything that happened after remains a blur. Another memory suddenly surfaces. Hyunsa Kim mutters about chasing someone and finding pleasure in that hunt. Young Mi-jin is stunned by Hyunsa Kim's incomprehensible words and asks him about it in utter surprise. Confused, Hyunsa Kim turns to look at Young Mi-jin. He doesn't seem to realize what he just said. Hyunsa Kim quickly apologizes and explains that he was just lost in thought about random things. Young Mi-jin doesn't pay much mind to it. She tells Hyunsa Kim to rest and wait for the doctor to come for a checkup. After Young Mi-jin leaves, Hyunsa Kim remains seated, gazing ahead pensively as if trying to find answers. Bizarre images suddenly flood into Hyunsa Kim's mind. He feels a chill as fragmented memories flicker past. Hyunsa Kim clutches his head, the throbbing pain making him wonder why he is dreaming of such terrifying things. He sighs. The reality that he had been in a coma for 2 days makes everything feel so surreal to Hyunsa Kim. Hyunsa Kim's eyes widen as the shock hits him. He realizes he has wasted 2 precious days. Hyunsa Kim hurriedly asks for his phone. Young Mi-jin points toward the cabinet beside the bed where he kept it. Hyunsa Kim frantically grabs his phone. The screen displays an alarming number: 62 missed calls. A series of angry messages from Young Mi-jin appears. She is repeatedly urging him to get to the filming location immediately. A chill runs down Hyunsa Kim's spine as he reads the threatening words in the messages. Without a second of hesitation, Hyunsa Kim hits the call back button, his fingers trembling on the screen. Hyunsa Kim stammers an explanation about the accident, but Young Mi-jin cuts him off in a fit of extreme rage. Young Mi-jin yells over the phone, demanding that Hyunsa Kim show up immediately regardless of any excuses. Hyunsa Kim is bewildered, unable to understand what is happening. He can only listen to the reprimands from the other end of the line. Young Mi-jin informs him that they couldn't find a replacement and forces Hyunsa Kim to head to the Yeongdongpo police station set immediately. Hyunsa Kim mumbles a thank you, but Young Mi-jin continues to urge him to leave right away. Hyunsa Kim bolted up from his bed, rushing out of the hospital room to the utter bewilderment of the medical staff. Hyunsa Kim grumbled in frustration, heading toward the Yeongdongpo police station film set with his mind in a whirlwind. Reaching the main road, Hyunsa Kim hurriedly waves down an approaching taxi. Car sped away, whisking Hyunsa Kim away from the hospital in a heavy, suffocating silence. Hyunsa Kim leaned back against the seat, his mind still reeling from the events that had just unfolded. A question suddenly flashed through Hyunsa Kim's mind. He wondered what his role actually was, and then everything began to clear up. Daylight cast its glow upon the building walls, creating an unexpectedly tranquil space. Hyunsa Kim bowed his head, his voice choked with emotion as he offered a cryptic apology to Young Mi-jin. Young Mi-jin stared straight at Hyunsa Kim, her cold, sharp gaze as if trying to pierce through his facade. Young Mi-jin gestured dismissively, ordering Hyunsa Kim to return to his current work. Hyunsa Kim sat quietly on the sofa, script in hand, lost in thought about his upcoming role. Scene 34. Hyunsa Kim muttered the script to himself. This time, the content was suspiciously simple. Hyunsa Kim, in the role of In-ho-jo, faced a harsh interrogation from Detective Young Mi-jin. Each line of dialogue appeared clearly in his mind. Hyunsa Kim had to memorize the 3 life or death responses for his character. Hyunsa Kim rested his chin on his hand, deep in thought, trying to grasp the unfair grievances of the character In-ho-jo. Even though it was just a minor, insignificant role, Hyunsa Kim could not afford to be careless. Hyunsa Kim reminded himself that a supporting actor must learn to keep their presence as subtle as possible. Hyunsa Kim had to balance authentic acting with humility, a difficult equation he had to solve at any cost. The loudspeaker echoed, and as Hyunsa Kim prepared to step into the first scene, his tension began to mount. Hyunsa Kim clenched his fists, his eyes burning with determination. This was his chance to shine. The producer spoke up, his tone calm as he reassured Hyunsa Kim about the delay. A composed expression on his face, the producer urged Hyunsa Kim to wrap up the scene in just one take. Hyunsa Kim saw through the producer's pretense, knowing that such kindness was merely indifference toward a small-time actor. Young Mi-jin's hand glided gently over the table, sliding evidence toward Hyunsa Kim. Young Mi-jin began the interrogation, digging deep into Hyunsa Kim's past connections to make him lose his composure. Young Mi-jin offered a cryptic smile, warning Hyunsa Kim that now was not the time to keep silent. Young Mi-jin signaled with her hand, demanding that Hyunsa Kim cut out the meaningless lies. Young Mi-jin directly questioned Hyunsa Kim about his suspicious presence at the victim's house. Young Mi-jin smiled, preparing to play her trump card to break Hyunsa Kim. Young Mi-jin's fingers tapped lightly on the table, a gesture of immense pressure directed at Hyunsa Kim. Young Mi-jin showed off the footage from the dashcam, clearly proud of her field investigation skills. Young Mi-jin thrust the evidence into Hyunsa Kim's face, forcing him to admit the truth. Young Mi-jin continued to produce evidence from security cameras, cornering Hyunsa Kim. Young Mi-jin kept presenting new evidence, leaving Hyunsa Kim with no way to deny it. Hyunsa Kim maintained a stern attitude, firmly denying all accusations. Young Mi-jin smiled triumphantly as she saw Hyunsa Kim begin to react. In his role as the murder suspect, In-ho-jo adamantly asserted to Young Mi-jin that he was completely innocent. Young Mi-jin replied with a skeptical expression. She was all too familiar with such hollow excuses. Suddenly, Young Mi-jin froze, her eyes widening in astonishment as if she had just discovered something unusual. A flash of panic crossed Young Mi-jin's eyes as she looked directly at In-ho-jo. Hyunsa Kim sat there, his face shrouded in shadow, creating a strangely eerie atmosphere. Young Mi-jin couldn't believe her eyes. Hyunsa Kim's gaze was so terrifying it sent shivers down her spine. Hyunsa Kim spoke up in response, his demeanor impossibly calm given the circumstances. In-ho-jo hesitated, beginning to offer his own explanation. With a blank expression, In-ho-jo insisted that he had committed no crime. Young Mi-jin stared with wide eyes, shock clearly etched across her face. A shout of "cut" rang out with authority, shattering the tense atmosphere that had enveloped the set. The entire room fell into a deathly silence, leaving only Young Mi-jin and Hyunsa Kim facing each other at the interrogation table. The film crew stared at each other in confusion, unable to fathom what had just transpired between the two lead actors. The director fell into deep thought, seemingly having realized something truly extraordinary about the performance he just witnessed. He called out to Hyunsa Kim, his eyes never leaving him. Hyunsa Kim started and turned around, looking visibly flustered by everyone's sudden attention. Hyunsa Kim stammered, not understanding what the director meant, his face filled with anxiety. The director immediately ordered the entire crew to stop, demanding everyone's full attention at once. He commanded the director of photography, Young Mi-jin, and the person who brought Hyunsa Kim there to gather immediately. Hyunsa Kim was still stunned, unable to comprehend why he had been singled out. Under the studio lights, everyone began to gather at the director's strict instruction. The director snapped and asked for Hyunsa Kim's identity, causing his manager to mutter an apology. He cut the apology short, demanding the manager answer the question directly. Hyunsa Kim bowed his head once more, repeatedly apologizing in embarrassment. The director suddenly realized that Hyunsa Kim's acting ability wasn't bad at all. He wondered where he had been hiding such talent all this time. The manager explained that Hyunsa Kim was just a junior from his school, but the director remained skeptical of that assessment of his acting skills. He scoffed, clearly dissatisfied with the manager's mediocre evaluation. The director turned to ask Young Mi-jin for her impression of Hyunsa Kim's performance. Young Mi-jin hesitated, admitting that even she couldn't give a definitive answer at that moment. The director looked at Young Mi-jin meaningfully, convinced that she had sensed something special from Hyunsa Kim. The director focused intensely on the frame, realizing that Hyunsa Kim's acting was still perfectly adhering to the script. But something was off. The director narrowed his eyes, his intuition telling him that another truth lay hidden. Immediately, he ordered the shoot to stop. Suspicion surged in the director's eyes. Hyunsa Kim and Young Mi-jin turned to look at the director with puzzled expressions at the sudden order. The director smirked, he couldn't believe what he had just seen. Hyunsa Kim's eyes had changed completely. He turned to ask Young Mi-jin about the difference in the eyes of someone consumed by darkness. It was a common occurrence that most people overlooked, but to him, it was the key to the problem. The director mused, his cold gaze observing every one of Hyunsa Kim's gestures. Normally, pupils contract, but in the darkness, they dilate to receive light. But Hyunsa Kim was different. Even in the bright light, his pupils remained unnaturally dilated. Furthermore, Hyunsa Kim's stillness while Young Mi-jin delivered her lines was enough to send shivers down one's spine. Without a single movement or tremor, Hyunsa Kim's gaze bored into Young Mi-jin as if to devour her. It felt like standing in front of a real psychopath. Fear permeated the space. The director looked at Hyunsa Kim with an haunted expression. Everything had become all too real. He turned to Young Mi-jin, his voice turning more serious than ever before. He decided he had to send the footage he had just recorded to that person immediately to verify the truth. The phone rang, signaling a call from the director's associate. Young Mi-jin was busy at her desk when she suddenly received a call. She answered with a hint of annoyance, asking the person on the other end what business they had bothering her while she was busy. Upon hearing the mention of the video, Young Mi-jin froze, her eyes widening in astonishment. Young Mi-jin's gaze remained glued to the screen, unable to believe what she was witnessing. Each heavy footstep echoes in the silence as Hyunsa Kim advances into a haunting realm of memories. Amidst the ever-shifting scenes, Hyunsa Kim seems lost within the depths of his own dreamscape. An overwhelming sense of emptiness consumes him. Hyunsa Kim can no longer feel a thing in this reality. Only the person waiting at the end of those monotonous stairs allows Hyeonseo Kim to reclaim a flicker of emotion in his world. Something sharp and something fragile all blending together. The sound of a blade tearing through the air, that blood-drenched noise, has never ceased to thrill Hyeonseo Kim. Hyeonseo Kim's eyes widen in shock as everything around him begins to tremble violently. Hyeonseo Kim jolts awake from the nightmare, gasping for air in pure bewilderment. Choi Myung stands there, her icy gaze fixed on the dazed Hyeonseo Kim as she asks if he was having a nightmare. Choi Myung crosses her arms, her expression stern as she announces that she had intended to wake Hyeonseo Kim up a long time ago. Choi Myung cannot hide her surprise at Hyeonseo Kim's nonchalant demeanor after he had turned the entire set upside down. Hyeonseo Kim looks on, bewildered, not understanding who the woman in front of him is. The woman replies calmly, introducing herself as Choi Myung. The name Choi Myung makes Hyeonseo Kim freeze. It feels incredibly familiar, but Choi Myung doesn't give him time to think, heading straight to the point. Choi Myung presses Hyeonseo Kim, asking exactly what was going through his mind during that performance. Hyeonseo Kim is stunned. He doesn't understand why Choi Myung is so fixated on his acting. Still reeling from shock, Hyeonseo Kim wonders who this woman is to be acting with such an attitude. The name Choi Myung repeats in Hyeonseo Kim's mind like an unexpected realization. Hyeonseo Kim stands up abruptly, realizing that Choi Myung is the talented screenwriter he has always heard about. Choi Myung confirms the truth, her gaze drilling into Hyeonseo Kim as if trying to see through his soul. Choi Myung, South Korea's rising star screenwriter, famous for her haunting crime scripts and depth of character. Following the massive success of her debut horror work, Choi Myung has become the most sought-after name in the screenwriting industry. Hyeonseo Kim bows to Choi Myung respectfully, unable to hide his excitement at meeting her. Choi Myung is the head writer of the film that Hyeonseo Kim is currently working on as a minor actor. Choi Myung hands Hyeonseo Kim a glass of water, telling him to calm down. Choi Myung continues to corner Hyeonseo Kim, demanding an answer regarding his recent performance. Hyeonseo Kim finishes the glass of water, his mind still incessantly questioning the strange events that just occurred. Even as the filming session ends, Hyeonseo Kim feels something is wrong, an indescribable sensation clinging to him. Hyeonseo Kim realizes with a jolt that this experience was completely different from any of his past acting roles. It was as if Hyeonseo Kim was connecting to someone else's emotions, or more accurately, experiencing a haunting, lived memory. Hyeonseo Kim understands that this wasn't his own intent, but as if the memories of the character in his dreams were rushing in to take over his mind. Hyeonseo Kim's gaze becomes contemplative as he suppresses the fear welling up inside him. Hyeonseo Kim knows that if he reveals the truth, he will surely be seen as a mental patient, so he chooses to face it alone. With his resolve set, Hyeonseo Kim prepares to confront all the questions surrounding the character he is playing. Hyeonseo Kim begins to analyze the second suspect, whom he believes was wrongly accused. Choi Myung is taken aback by the deductions Hyeonseo Kim has just put forward. Hyeonseo Kim raises a skeptical question regarding the true nature of the suspected murderer. Hyeonseo Kim sets the glass down, focusing on his line of reasoning. Hyeonseo Kim presents a theory that the person might be innocent, or perhaps just a petty criminal unrelated to the case. Hyeonseo Kim also does not rule out the possibility that they are a brutal perpetrator who has yet to be discovered. Choi Myung looks at Hyeonseo Kim with a thoughtful gaze, hanging on every word he says. Choi Myung can't help but laugh at Hyeonseo Kim's excessive seriousness. Choi Myung teases Hyeonseo Kim, saying he's truly hilarious for getting so immersed in his role. Choi Myung admits that Hyeonseo Kim's approach is refreshing, yet she remains skeptical. Choi Myung grits her teeth, her patience is beginning to wear thin. Choi Myung questions whether Hyeonseo Kim is the screenwriter, asking how he dares to make decisions on his own. Hyeonseo Kim is startled by Choi Myung's sharp inquiry. Choi Myung continues to press him, asking if he has been adding personality traits to the character without regard for the author's intent. Hyeonseo Kim doesn't hesitate to admit his actions in the face of Choi Myung's interrogation. Choi Myung is stunned by Hyeonseo Kim's reckless level of bluntness. Hyeonseo Kim realizes he can no longer keep up the lie, so he decides to confess everything. Choi Myung sighs in frustration, at a loss for words before Hyeonseo Kim's overconfidence. Choi Myung has no choice but to accept this truth. Choi Myung coldly announces that the scene they just shot will be completely cut. Hyeonseo Kim realizes his role has vanished into thin air just for daring to challenge the author. Hyeonseo Kim can only quietly accept this outcome. Hyeonseo Kim looks visibly shaken upon hearing the icy questioning from Choi Myung. Choi Myung stands there coldly, staring intently at Hyeonseo Kim. Hyeonseo Kim stands frozen, feeling the pressure bearing down on him. Choi Myung bluntly demands that the current scene be scrapped and a replacement found, while urging for a camera test to be conducted immediately. Hyeonseo Kim is stunned by this unexpected proposal and looks at Choi Myung, utterly confused. Choi Myung maintains a resolute attitude, surprising everyone around her with this sudden demand for a camera test. Though not entirely pleased, those present have no choice but to yield to Choi Myung's demand. Choi Myung doesn't hesitate to retort, asserting that Hyun-soo Kim had prepared in advance with his keen intuition. Hyun-soo Kim is completely bewildered. He doesn't understand why he was fired only to receive such a bizarre request. Choi Myung crosses her arms, posing an ironic question about whether anyone would come all this way just to fire a supporting actor. Choi Myung delivers the final blow with a harsh truth, confirming that Hyun-soo Kim has indeed been cut from the role of suspect number 2. Hyun-soo Kim responds weakly in the face of Choi Myung's dominance. Choi Myung continues her attack, criticizing those who rely solely on individual talent while lacking team spirit. Choi Myung's eyes turn sharp. She admits she doesn't necessarily hate people like that. Choi Myung mentions the main character, someone who always gives their all to solve every case regardless of the hardships. Choi Myung poses an enigmatic question about the true inspiration behind that character. Hyun-soo Kim asks blankly, and Choi Myung straightforwardly declares herself to be the model. Choi Myung explains that it isn't just integrity but another facet hidden deep within her. Choi Myung asserts that it is her fighting spirit, the very thing that prevents her from ever backing down from any battle. Hyun-soo Kim is stunned, realizing that this battle has truly begun and there is no turning back. Choi Myung looks deep into Hyun-soo Kim, her gaze reflecting her determination to witness the outcome for herself. Choi Myung stares intently at the monitor, trying to understand what is hidden inside Hyun-soo Kim. A file is produced, marking a new turning point in this confrontation. Choi Myung reveals that this is the latest draft, which no one else has been allowed to see yet. Hyun-soo Kim took the folder, his expression filled with suspicion and caution. Choi Myung challenged Hyun-soo Kim to use this very manuscript to convince her. Choi Myung demanded that Hyun-soo Kim prove his true capabilities. Hyun-soo Kim stood frozen, the pressure from Choi Myung's challenge weighing heavily on his shoulders. Stage lights remained bright and the atmosphere grew suffocatingly silent. Hyun-soo Kim sat there, facing the fateful folder, ready for his next move. Hyun-soo Kim let out a soft sigh of relief, as if he had just cast off a psychological burden that had been crushing him for so long. Hyun-soo Kim's gaze turned sharp and determined. He told himself he was ready to plunge into this new challenge. Hyun-soo Kim flipped through the pages of the document, focusing intensely on the crucial information gradually coming to light. Suddenly, Hyun-soo Kim froze, his eyes widening in shock as he spotted an unusual detail in the document. Shock was clearly written on Hyun-soo Kim's face. He could not believe what he had just read in the folder. The heroine looks exhausted, lifting her hands to her head in sheer distress. The young lady questions the sudden absence of their colleague, while the heroine sits there, looking bewildered about the script that was taken away. The heroine explains that it was the first appearance scene for Lee Jinwoo, the very thing she had just finished today. Sipping on some water, the heroine hesitates, preparing to reveal a crucial truth. The heroine falters as she blurts out a warning about the unfinished manuscript. Young lady is stunned beyond belief upon hearing the heroine reveal that the manuscript was, in fact, not completed at all. The young lady asks in shock, as she had previously been confirmed that the manuscript was finished. The heroine panics, urging the young lady to finish the work immediately. The young lady, utterly confused, attempts to inquire about the document they saw on the printer earlier. Both realize the harsh truth: it was merely a test print used to check the printer. The heroine and the young lady fall into a state of panic, sensing the disaster that is about to unfold. The young lady desperately tries to make urgent calls to resolve the emergency situation. The heroine decides to take matters into her own hands, refusing to let everything fall apart behind the scenes. On set, preparations for the camera test are complete. Everyone is just waiting for Lee Jinwoo to appear. Lee Jinwoo stands alone in the middle of the stage, his eyes vacant, waiting for the signal to begin. Lee Jinwoo contemplates whether or not he should speak up and ask for clarification. Lee Jinwoo stares in shock at the empty script he has just received. Lee Jinwoo realizes that aside from a few stage directions, the rest of the pages are completely blank. Lee Jinwoo anxiously wonders if this is meant to be a test of his improvisation skills. Lee Jinwoo is startled to realize there are people watching him from below. One of the staff members observes Lee Jinwoo with a stern expression. Another staff member watches Lee Jinwoo with intense focus. Young warrior Hugh Heat watches Lee Jinwoo with a critical, uncomfortable gaze. Lee Jinwoo feels the heavy pressure of all eyes fixed upon him. Lee Jinwoo understands clearly that they are waiting for his acting performance. Lee Jinwoo tells himself that whatever their intentions may be, he must complete his mission. Lee Jinwoo regains his confidence, affirming that he is ready for this moment. The young warrior gives a nod, confirming that everything is ready to begin. The director's voice rings out, signaling the start of the performance. The studio lights shine directly onto Lee Jinwoo. All attention is focused on him as he stands silently in the center of the stage. A strange feeling creeps into Lee Jinwoo's mind. The lines in the script match, to his astonishment, a dream he once had. Footsteps echo, and Lee Jinwoo begins to move. Each step seems to weigh down the space around him. Every movement Lee Jinwoo makes is decisive, creating an invisible pressure that makes those around him hold their breath. Shadows engulf Lee Jinwoo, leaving only his cold figure as he advances forward. The rhythmic sound of footsteps continues. Lee Jinwoo does not stop, and a murderous aura begins to spread. A strange emotion surges within Lee Jinwoo's chest. A sense of intrigue or excitement is slowly taking over his reason. Lee Jinwoo's eyes turn cold. The emotion driving him right now is not humanity, but raw instinct. Lee Jinwoo whispers to himself that this is the purest form of survival instinct he has ever understood. A surge of power erupts. Lee Jinwoo realizes that he has always been different from the rest of the world. Lee Jinwoo stares straight at his opponent. Every action he takes now solely to prove his own existence. Lee Jinwoo takes a powerful step forward, his voice echoing like a challenge to all those watching. Continuing to move forward, Lee Jinwoo growls, demanding to know if they are truly seeing him. The pressure radiating from Lee Jinwoo makes the air feel thick as he presses his opponent to admit whether they are tracking his every move. Lee Jinwoo's eyes flash in the shadows, a terrifying expression crossing his face. Lee Jinwoo reaches out, the stark contrast between sharpness and vulnerability vividly playing out in his mind. Lee Jinwoo's hand tightens around the prop, and the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. Instead of a knife, Lee Jinwoo holds a pen, his gaze drilling deep into the new heap sitting across from him. Lee Jinwoo steps closer, offering the pen to the new heap with an overbearing attitude. The light reflecting off the nib startles the new heap. She senses imminent danger. New heap swallows hard, the sharpness of the pen in Lee Jinwoo's hand sending shivers down her spine. The new heap is stunned, wondering to herself when she had dropped the pen without even realizing it. The new heap snaps back to reality, remembering the moment she was observing Lee Jinwoo's performance. The new heap looks at Lee Jinwoo with eyes full of astonishment, shock clearly written across her face. The new heap feels a chill run down her spine while facing Lee Jinwoo. The new heap gazes at Lee Jinwoo, unable to believe that what she just witnessed could actually be called acting. The new heap is left speechless. Lee Jinwoo's mere approach creates an overwhelming aura of pressure. The new heap admits that Lee Jinwoo's performance just now is completely beyond anything she could have imagined. Daeo offers a friendly smile, signaling Hyeonsu that he's welcome to drop by the film set whenever he likes. Yang Mi-jin beams with a radiant smile, expressing her immense relief at never having to cross paths with Ji Chunjang ever again. Hyeonsu stares blankly at Yang Mi-jin and Daeo, his face clouded with confusion over their cryptic words. Handing her business card to Hyeonsu, Yang Mi-jin tells him to reach out if needed, as there are still many matters left to discuss. Hyeonsu stands there stunned, wondering if he's dreaming after receiving Yang Mi-jin's personal phone number. A light, fleeting touch passes between Hyeonsu and Yang Mi-jin as the business card changes hands. Hyeonsu scratches his head in embarrassment, his eyes still wide with disbelief as he grips the card in his hand. Suddenly, Daeo grabs Hyeonsu, loudly demanding to know just what on earth he did. Daeo won't stop rambling about the rumors that Hyeonsu might actually be a real killer before laughing and offering his congratulations. Hyeonsu responds humbly, crediting it all to Yang Mi-jin's invaluable help. Daeo waves goodbye, making sure to invite Hyeonsu off for drinks later to talk things over in more detail. Hyeonsu trudges over to his locker and pulls out his signature blue box. Realizing he left his things at the hospital in his haste, Hyeonsu mutters to himself that he needs to head back there immediately. Just then, Yang Mi-jin appears right at the doorway, causing Hyeonsu to jump and turn around in surprise. Yang Mi-jin explains there was a slight mix-up and hands Hyeonsu the official script for the movie. Yang Mi-jin gives Hyeonsu detailed instructions about the script and Ji-eun Lee's appearance before suddenly dropping an unexpected question. Yang Mi-jin softly asks if Hyeonsu happens to know the name Ji Chunjang. Hyeonsu freezes, a flicker of panic crossing his face at Yang Mi-jin's question. Hyeonsu's eyes widen as the name Ji Chunjang echoes through his mind. He's certain he has heard that name somewhere before. A surge of familiarity washes over him. Hyeonsu knows exactly why that name feels so hauntingly close. Memories of his dreams come flooding back, as if the ghost of Ji Chunjang is slowly closing in on him. Hyeonsu asks who Ji Chunjang is, and Yang Mi-jin reveals that he was the very inspiration behind her character, Ji-eun Lee. Hyeonsu repeats the word inspiration, his voice laced with deep suspicion. Yang Mi-jin explains that he was someone from a long time ago, so Hyeonsu likely wouldn't know him. Yang Mi-jin advises Hyeonsu to look him up when he has time, saying it will help refine his acting. Yang Mi-jin confesses that even though it sounds absurd, the aura Hyeonsu displayed during the audition was the exact image of Ji Chunjang she had envisioned. Yang Mi-jin is satisfied now that she has found the Ji-eun Lee of her dreams. Now, she can focus entirely on perfecting her script. Hyeonsu was left in shock, his eyes still haunted by everything he just heard. The room falls into a heavy silence, leaving Hyansu alone with his chaotic thoughts about the name Jiaichunjiang. The steady vibration of the subway train signals the start of a long journey through the quiet space. Hyansu sits quietly in the train car, his mind racing as he wonders if the strange dreams he's been having are about a real person, the one who inspired this show. The memory of the producer's questioning rushes back, and Hyansu is struck with the terrifying thought: are these emotions currently flooding his mind truly his own, or Jiaichunjiang's? Hyansu lets out an ironic laugh at the absurdity of it all, drawing bewildered stares from the people around him. Hyansu narrows his eyes, determined to fully understand this bizarre situation as he flips through the diary in his hands. The story begins with Yang Mi-jin, who happens to possess an unusual diary that records gruesome murders before they actually happen. Hyansu holds his breath, his eyes glued to every word, knowing that the emergence of Jian-li is about to be revealed. In the pitch-black darkness, a faceless figure walks. Jian-li's existence is merely a product of Yang Mi-jin's imagination, fueled by the eerie words within the diary. Hyansu realizes with horror that the reality unfolding before him is slowly aligning with the scenes from his dreams. Hyansu's gaze pierces through the phone screen, where the name Jiaichunjiang appears like a dark curse. A moment of pure shock is etched onto Hyansu's face as the scattered pieces of information finally begin to click into place. The name Shadow Killer, associated with Jiaichunjiang, sends a cold shiver down Hyansu's spine. Hyansu is stunned to learn that the 17 victims were merely an estimate, and the true identity of Jiaichunjiang remains a complete mystery. Hyansu grows even more unsettled upon discovering that Jiaichunjiang used an alias to bury his past, leaving every investigation at a dead end. Gasp of pure terror escapes Hyansu's lips as the horrifying truth slowly comes to light. Jiaichunjiang chose to end his life in flames, leaving the Shadow Killer case as an unsolved humiliation for the police for all these years. Hyansu stands frozen, his gaze vacant as he struggles to process the information he has just received. Revelation that Jiaichunjiang committed suicide before he could ever be brought to justice leaves Hyansu in a state of absolute shock. An anonymous murderer from 30 years ago is now haunting Hyansu's mind through his dreams. Everything around Hyansu seems to blur, leaving only a sense of impasse and doubt. The shadow of Jiaichunjiang seems to loom over Hyansu, making him realize that he is dreaming of a man dead for a long time. The subway continues to roll on, carrying the heavy weight of anxiety upon Hyansu's shoulders. Hyansu still cannot fathom why this is happening to him, but he knows one thing for certain. This event has had a profound impact on Hyansu's acting capabilities. Hyansu realizes that his innate ability to empathize with others has inadvertently become the foundation for his immersive acting style. Hyansu reflects, realizing that syncing emotions is just natural for an actor committed to method acting. Hyansu also understands clearly that this phenomenon is nothing less than a dangerous double-edged sword. The moment Hyansu began filming the 34th scene, Jiaichunjiang's emotions surged forth, creating a successful result that was, from an actor's perspective, truly horrifying. Hyansu fears that if Jiaichunjiang's emotions come flooding back like that again, he might not have the strength to complete his role. Hyansu clenches his fists, determined to gain control over these bizarre phenomena. If he fails to master himself, Hyansu knows he will soon be consumed by the memories and emotions of Jiaichunjiang within his own nightmares. After a period of hospitalization to recover his health, Hyansu finally returns home. Even though his body is uninjured, Hyansu cannot escape the haunting dreams of Jiaichunjiang that have plagued him for days. Every time he wakes up, Hyansu has to steel himself, fighting to suppress the intense emotions surging within him. A hatred for the world, a burst of rage, and an endless desire suddenly flare up, followed by the awakening of a powerful, murderous instinct. Fortunately, Hyansu manages to hold onto his sanity, pushing those dark emotions back into his subconscious to stay grounded in reality. Hyansu tells himself that he must find a way to control these experiences and only unleash them when necessary for his acting. Hyansu suddenly recalls Yang Mi-jin's remarks about his acting style. For Hyansu, acting is the only key he has to execute this plan. Hyansu's gaze settles on the film script, where he will begin his journey to master his own mind. Through acting, Hyansu is determined to draw a clear line between dreams and reality. Hyansu affirms to himself that he will master these nightmares through the art of acting. Of course, Hyansu understands that this is not something that can be achieved overnight. The first step is for Hyansu to completely decouple the experiences of Jiaichunjiang from his own true identity. Just then, the phone call that Hyansu had been waiting for finally rings. On the other end of the line, his manager explains the delays in the process with the production company. Hyansu interrupts, wanting to verify the current status of his representation. The manager expresses his frustration over the project being cancelled solely due to low pay and concerns about the actor's image. The manager snaps, sarcastically remarking that if an actor only cares about their image, they might as well become a singer. The manager's anger reaches a boiling point as he swears never to work with those people ever again. Amidst his irritation, the manager tries to recall the name of the actor chosen as his replacement. Kainates I ten Hyansa Duak Suan Len Nuakwan Ly Tuare Ngion Gakvi Chuatun Ne Den on Baojio. The deep blue sky is filled with fluffy white clouds drifting lazily over the dense forest canopy. Chang Sik-ju makes a stylish entrance, confidently introducing himself as the executive producer of the drama series Shadow Stigma. Chang Sik-ju narrows his eyes calculatingly as if there is a hidden agenda behind this visit to the filming set. Chang Sik-ju's gaze shifts toward Hyansa Kim, who is standing with Myung-jin, where the answer to his true purpose is beginning to reveal itself. Hyansa Kim stands calmly as Myung-jin touches up his appearance for the camera. A shocking figure is dropped, one per episode, instantly making the atmosphere tense. Myung-jin, Hyansa Kim, and Chang Sik-ju sit opposite each other, their faces clearly showing their dissatisfaction with this ridiculous offer. Chang Sik-ju casually raises his hand in refusal, insisting that this payment is the final, non-negotiable limit. Deep down, Chang Sik-ju thinks Hyansa Kim has a decent look but lacks the necessary impact to create a real buzz. Hyansa Kim remains calm, knowing that for the role of Ji-eun Lee, looks are not the only deciding factor. Myung-jin stares straight at Chang Sik-ju, questioning whether he has actually watched Hyansa Kim's camera test. Myung-jin firmly points out that it is precisely because he hasn't watched it that Chang Sik-ju is offering such a cheap price. Pushed into a corner, Chang Sik-ju awkwardly justifies himself, claiming he is too busy with other work. Myung-jin coldly makes a final suggestion, demanding that Chang Sik-ju observe Hyansa Kim's performance on set for himself. Chang Sik-ju looks surprised, but Myung-jin firmly asserts that he will understand the issue the moment he sees it with his own eyes. Myung-jin warns that Chang Sik-ju will soon realize how ridiculously insulting his offer was. Chang Sik-ju falls silent, while Myung-jin sarcastically remarks that he has always been a man of great luck. Chang Sik-ju looks bewildered at the comment that he seems to never miss anything interesting. Chang Sik-ju is confused, unable to grasp the hidden meaning behind those cryptic words. Shouts echo through the set as the crew begins preparing for the next scene. Myung-jin turns to Hyansa Kim, reminding him of the details for the upcoming scene. Myung-jin emphasizes that today's scene will stay true to exactly what Hyansa Kim demonstrated in his camera test. Hyansa Kim nods in confirmation. He has fully grasped the requirements for this sequence. Myung-jin visualizes the first page of the diary, a man creeping through the shadows of a gloomy forest. Myung-jin announces that she has cut down some of the specific actions in the script to match Hyansa Kim's caliber. Hyansa Kim and Myung-jin stand facing each other in the middle of the set, the air turning silent in preparation for the start. Myung-jin unexpectedly asks if she should use the old tools again. Myung-jin confirms that these are the very weapons Ji-eun Lee used to commit the murders. Clicking sound rings out as the toolbox is opened, revealing the cold, sharp tools inside. Myung-jin picks up an industrial screwdriver, explaining that this is Ji-eun Lee's primary weapon, the same one Ji-eun Lee's father used to torture him as a child. In the silent space, Chang Sik-ju narrows his eyes suspiciously, questioning the instability currently unfolding. Without hesitation, Hyansa Kim makes a bold suggestion about using other tools from the kit. Chang Sik-ju is stunned, unable to believe his ears at Hyansa Kim's incredible audacity. Hyansa Kim leans down, touches the screwdriver, and coldly asserts that this is no ordinary murder weapon. Hyansa Kim holds the hammer in his hand, casually remarking that humans do not fall easily from just a stab with a sharp object. Hyansa Kim analyzes deeply, suggesting that given Ji-eun Lee's past, this certainly wasn't the first time he had taken a life. Hyansa Kim's gaze turns icy. He speculates that Ji-eun Lee chose a blunt weapon to finish off his victims with minimal effort. Myung-jin stands frozen, her expression revealing her shock at the brutal deductions Hyansa Kim just voiced. Hyansa Kim maintains his calm demeanor, explaining that those are simply the thoughts he would have if he were in Ji-eun Lee's shoes. Myung-jin is deep in thought. She accepts the improvised lines but still demands that Hyansa Kim strictly adhere to the director's vision. Myung-jin firmly asserts that the industrial screwdriver is an irreplaceable icon in Ji-eun Lee's story. Myung-jin politely offers her thanks, resolutely defending the main plot she has painstakingly crafted. Chang Sik-ju cannot contain his anger, stunned by Hyansa Kim's rebellious attitude in daring to challenge the screenwriter. The cameraman excitedly shouts, ordering the immediate start of the flashback sequence in the dark forest. The sunset blankets the forest, creating an atmosphere stained with darkness and death. In the twilight, Hyansa Kim walks alone through the woods, the wind whistling in his ears like a warning. Hyansa Kim feels a pang of pity for the tiny creatures, those who have never done anything wrong. During his daily stroll along the forest path, Hyansa Kim suddenly discovers a small creature. With the tool in his hand, Hyansa Kim suddenly recalls the cruel mission he must fulfill. Each of Hyansa Kim's footsteps falls upon the ground, slow and calculated. Footsteps echo as Hyansa Kim moves closer toward his target. Hyunsa Kim's gaze turns resolute. He tells himself this is a mission that must be carried out to the end.
Hyunsa Kim lunges forward while the cameraman remains diligent in recording every moment.
The cameraman is stunned, the camera lens shaking at Hyunsa Kim's sudden action.
Chang Sik-ju stares in shock, unable to believe what is unfolding right before his eyes.
Chang Sik-ju rubs his eyes, trying to confirm if he is seeing things incorrectly.
A scene of chaos unfolds, and Chang Sik-ju wonders if someone is being hunted in this forest.
Hyunsa Kim coldly admits that he has accidentally crushed the tiny creature under his feet. A heavy strike descends, ending all life in the blink of an eye. Tension escalates as a single bead of sweat rolls down Hyunsa Kim's temple. A dry sound echoes. Chang Sik-ju stands frozen, facing Jian Li, who is holding a homemade weapon. Hyunsa Kim collapses in despair, wondering whose fault this mistake really is. Hyunsa Kim looks up, his eyes filled with doubt as he asserts that none of them are truly at fault. Hyunsa Kim's gaze becomes vacant, as if he is lost in a haunting inner world. Hyunsa Kim's hand grips the sharp object tightly, ready for an irreversible act. Hyunsa Kim curls inward, his posture full of defensiveness and unease. As the sharp tip pierces the ground, Hyunsa Kim tries to control his own trembling. With heavy footsteps, Hyunsa Kim stands tall, facing the cruel reality. Hyunsa Kim coldly blames Jian Li for bringing them all to this place. Hyunsa Kim trudges through the trees, his lone back radiating a murderous aura. A strange apology escapes Hyunsa Kim, like an expression of pity for those around him. The order to cut the scene is given, but the air remains thick with tension. Hyunsa Kim stands still in the forest, like a lost soul waiting for something to happen. Nearby, Myung-jin and the others whisper, buzzing about the strangeness of Hyunsa Kim. Chang Sik-ju and his colleagues cannot hide their horror. They have just witnessed a haunting performance by Hyunsa Kim. Chang Sik-ju wonders in shock whether that was truly acting or just Hyunsa Kim's terrifying instinct for mimicry. Acting is simulation, the analysis and expression of fake personalities, but Hyunsa Kim is completely different. Hyunsa Kim's gaze is ice cold, sending shivers down anyone who looks at him. In that brief moment, Hyunsa Kim transformed perfectly into Jian Li, without a single flaw. Chang Sik-ju realizes that Myung-jin has discovered a true talent, and now he finally understands why Myung-jin values Hyunsa Kim so highly. A firm assertion Hyunsa Kim will use this project as a stepping stone to reach the very pinnacle. Chang Sik-ju admits that although he gave Hyunsa Kim full autonomy, Hyunsa Kim has performed like an absolute beast. Myung-jin smiles mysteriously, reminding Chang Sik-ju that he will soon have to retract his previous doubts. Chang Sik-ju cannot hide his astonishment, becoming deeply curious about Hyunsa Kim's origins. Myung-jin replies, affirming that things are not as simple as Chang Sik-ju might think. Hyunsa Kim appears with a composed expression. He is precisely the person they have been searching for. After a hard day's work, the entire film crew headed to the Jeju Black Pork restaurant for a celebratory feast. The sizzling sound of fresh meat on the grill filled the air, whetting everyone's appetite. Hyunsa Kim quickly poured a drink for Mr. Kim, and the atmosphere of the party began to liven up. Mr. Kim excitedly asked Hyunsa Kim about his feelings on his very first day entering the acting profession. Hyunsa Kim shared that everything was a brand new experience, from collaborating with the team to the post-filming gatherings. Hyunsa Kim's eyes welled up with emotion as he expressed his sincere gratitude for this precious opportunity. Mr. Kim laughed out loud, admitting that Hyunsa Kim's acting on set was so terrifying that it made him shiver, even though Hyunsa Kim is actually very gentle in reality. Missing the teasing about his sensitivity, Hyunsa Kim could only sigh in helplessness. The party slowly came to an end, and everyone began to pack up and prepare to leave. The sound of lively chatter still echoed throughout the restaurant as the members prepared to depart. Doziak stepped closer, hesitating before striking up a conversation with Hyunsa Kim. Doziak wanted to explain that his harsh words in the past were only because he hadn't fully understood Hyunsa Kim. Doziak let out a sigh of relief upon seeing that Hyunsa Kim didn't hold a grudge, then quickly shifted the topic to the unfinished contract. Hyunsa Kim gritted his teeth, trying to suppress his annoyance at Doziak's attitude. Doziak lost his patience and demanded that Hyunsa Kim frankly put everything on the negotiating table. A few days later, shocking news broke: the actor playing Jian Li had been replaced. The main villain role in the film Stained by Your Darkness was officially handed to the newcomer, Hyunsa Kim. Hyunsa Kim returned home, exhausted, and collapsed into his desk chair in the darkroom. Hyunsa Kim sighed, trying to calm his mind after a long and turbulent day. Hyunsa Kim reached his hand out into the air, as if trying to grasp something invisible. Hyunsa Kim told himself that he was in better control than before, but this ability was still far too unstable. Hyunsa Kim stared at the hammer in his hand, recalling strange words that didn't belong to him. Hyunsa Kim was determined not to let that someone blur the line between acting and reality. Even so, Hyunsa Kim realized that it wasn't entirely a disaster. The sense of unease remained, but Hyunsa Kim had learned how to regulate his emotions when embodying Jian Lee. Whenever he started acting, the world around Hyunsa Kim became as vivid as his own dreams. Hyunsa Kim's eyes showed intense focus, completely lost in his thoughts. Hyunsa Kim told himself that this phenomenon was truly a double-edged sword. Hyunsa Kim realized that this method was only effective in scenes where he acted alone. When interacting with other actors, this ability could become an unpredictable danger. Hyunsa Kim told himself that he had to gain absolute control over this monster. The shout of "cut" rang out, signaling that the scene had just finished filming. Mr. Kim smiled in satisfaction, believing that Hyunsa Kim's first solo takes had been completed perfectly. Hyunsa Kim wondered if he would have to start working with other actors, as this was his first time participating. Mr. Kim continued, asserting that the whole team needed to organize a script reading session. Mr. Kim looked toward Hyunsa Kim and asked for his opinion on this proposal. Hyunsa Kim was surprised by the unexpected suggestion from Mr. Kim. Usually, actors focus on reading the script to build chemistry before filming officially begins. Hyunsa Kim scratched his head in confusion. He couldn't believe everyone would gather just for him. Mr. Kim reassured Hyunsa Kim that there was nothing to worry about. Mr. Kim explains that they are simply organizing a casual script reading session with Doziak Jang. Upon hearing the name Doziak Jang, Hyunsa Kim's eyes widen in sheer astonishment. Doziak Jang is a legendary name that every single television viewer would instantly recognize. Overjoyed, Hyunsa Kim agrees to participate without a second thought. With a swift tap on his phone screen, Mr. Kim begins reaching out to the relevant parties. Mr. Kim informs him that the other actors' schedules have also cleared up for tomorrow. Hyunsa Kim is left stunned by how quickly everything is falling into place. The next day, Hyunsa Kim and Mr. Kim arrive at the meeting point. Hyunsa Kim feels nervous, his heart pounding uncontrollably. A firm hand suddenly grips Hyunsa Kim's shoulder. Doziak Jang appears and asks if Hyunsa Kim is indeed the exciting newcomer everyone has been talking about. Doziak Jang wears an enigmatic smile, observing Hyunsa Kim from a very close distance. Hyunsa Kim hurriedly bows and introduces himself politely. Doziak Jang remarks that while Hyunsa Kim looks quite ordinary, his acting skills are on a completely different level. Doziak Jang teases him about disrupting the shoot but insists he isn't angry at all. When asked about the other colleagues, Mr. Kim explains they are tied up with network schedules, making it difficult for them to join. Doziak Jang sits down, brimming with confidence as he prepares to test Hyunsa Kim's capabilities. Doziak Jang suggests they grab some coffee and get to know each other before starting. Doziak Jang stares intently at Hyunsa Kim, sounding like a mentor lecturing him on what it truly means to be an actor. Hyunsa Kim sits quietly, focusing intensely on the script in his hands, as if the world around him has vanished. Suddenly, a wave of invisible pressure surges forth, causing Hyunsa Kim to look up in surprise. Doziak Jang smirks defiantly, not hesitating to throw sharp jabs at Hyunsa Kim's abilities. Hyunsa Kim's eyes narrow, observing every gesture of Doziak Jang with extreme caution. In Hyunsa Kim's eyes, Doziak Jang has transformed into Manhwa Jang, the ruthless villain with a dark past. Although he was once the sworn enemy of young Nijin, Manhwa Jang would later become his most essential ally. Doziak Jang doesn't let Hyunsa Kim regain his composure, immediately diving into the confrontation scene at the police station. Hyunsa Kim maintains a calm demeanor, sitting face to face with those intentionally trying to give him a hard time. At the police station entrance, as Jian Lee struts in with confidence, he is suddenly stopped by the cold voice of Manhwa Jang. Doziak Jang looks straight at Hyunsa Kim, posing a probing question full of hidden meaning. Doziak Jang's gaze sharpens. He is determined to test exactly how much talent Hyunsa Kim truly possesses. The corner of Doziak Jang's mouth curls into a sinister smile. Hyunsa Kim keeps a stoic expression, completely unfazed by Doziak Jang's provocation. Hyunsa Kim's leg trembles slightly, an instinctive reaction to the heavy, unseen pressure. Hyunsa Kim wonders to himself, it's just a script reading, so why is the atmosphere becoming so suffocating? Hyunsa Kim places his hand on the script, a decisive action serving as a silent declaration. Doziak Jang cannot hide his surprise, stunned by Hyunsa Kim's sudden shift in attitude. Doziak Jang wonders to himself if Hyunsa Kim is planning to perform without even looking at the script. Doziak Jang's smile grows wider, filled with a mix of fascination and skepticism. Doziak Jang taps his fingers against the table, creating a rhythmic, intense tension for the confrontation. Hyunsa Kim pushes the script aside, a gesture that acts as a silent declaration of war against Doziak Jang. Doziak Jang nin cham cham veo Hyunsa Kim on Madon Ruklin vi hung fan tatu. Episode 3 of the Haunting series Vet no Kwabong Toy is ready, where dark secrets are slowly being unveiled. The rookie coldly confronts Jaehyun Jang right at the script reading table, not hesitating to expose his crimes against innocent girls. Jiang Hanjiang maintains a defiant look, growling back in response, attempting to mask his panic with an arrogant attitude. Jiang Hanjiang is stunned to see the rookie capable of approaching and applying direct pressure so unexpectedly. The rookie silently observes, his eyes holding a depth that leaves Jiang Hanjiang trembling with fear. Rookie mocks Jiang Hanjiang's weakness, causing him to fall completely into the psychological trap he has set. Jiang Hanjiang roars in bitterness, unable to understand why the rookie holds all the information but hasn't reported him to the police yet. The rookie flashes a devious smirk. His response makes Jiang Hanjiang shiver. Jiang Hanjiang loses control and screams as the rookie constantly interrupts him, laying bare his murderous intentions. Jiang Hanjiang is bewildered, his eyes wide open as he hears confessions spill out of his own mouth involuntarily. The rookie nonchalantly recites the victim's personal information, causing Jiang Hanjiang to completely collapse. Jiang Hanjiang trembles, panic clearly visible on his face when the rookie mentions his daughter. Jiang Hanjiang's hands clench tightly, his rage erupting as he threatens the rookie with his own life. The rookie remains calm, issuing a dangerous challenge right in front of Jiang Hanjiang. Amidst the tense atmosphere, the rookie bets on a deadly outcome that Jiang Hanjiang never saw coming. The rookie asserts that victory is already in his hands, driving Jiang Hanjiang into despair. Jiang Hanjiang is stunned, he cannot believe the rookie was able to manipulate his psyche to this extent. Jiang Hanjiang's eyes bulge, cold sweat dripping as he senses the imminent danger from the rookie. Jiang Hanjiang screams in a fit of madness, unable to keep his composure before the rookie's words. A loud noise echoes as Jiang Hanjiang slams his hand onto the table, the air becoming suffocating. Jiang Hanjiang grabs the rookie by the collar. Hatred has caused him to lose his sense of reason. Everyone around watches in horror, unable to understand why he is acting so violently just over a script reading. Jiang Hanjiang wonders if he is going too far, but his anger has completely consumed him. The rookie maintains his calm expression, staring straight at Jiang Hanjiang as if watching a cheap performance. Jiang Hanjiang lets go, slumping into his chair in sheer embarrassment and extreme anger. People around begin to whisper, the situation becoming more chaotic than ever. Jiang Hanjiang bitterly demands to redo yesterday's shoot, a highly unusual decision. Everyone protests fiercely, they cannot accept redoing a scene that is already complete. Jiang Hanjiang roars, he cannot accept that the rookie is gradually taking his position. The command retake echoes harshly across the film set. An actor cannot hide his dissatisfaction, arguing that the scene was already perfect and there is no reason to do it again. Jiang Hanjiang immediately roars, rejecting that opinion and stubbornly demanding a retake. Under Jiang Hanjiang's pressure, the actor tries to explain that the scene isn't that important, but Jiang Hanjiang holds firm that every scene is decisive. The supporting actress watches from afar, thinking to herself that there is something very strange about Jiang Hanjiang today. In the backstage area, people begin to gossip as they see the rookie's appearance. They turn their gaze toward the rookie, who is standing there reading the script, not forgetting to drop sarcastic remarks about his competence. They point directly at the rookie, the person rumored to have replaced Jiang Hanjiang in this project. Doubt fills the air as they wonder how someone as ordinary looking as the rookie could take on such an important role. Rumors that the rookie got the role through personal connections make those around him even more resentful. The supporting actress speaks up, asking a sarcastic question about professionalism regarding bringing personal issues onto the film set. Unexpectedly questioned by the supporting actress, the gossipers were left stunned and taken aback. The supporting actress didn't hesitate to call out their thoughts, exposing their belief that the production team had made a poor casting choice. She coldly reminded them to focus on their roles in the Special Forces unit instead of wasting time with petty jealousy. She blocked their path as they tried to leave, demanding they stay to witness the upcoming performance. The supporting actress insisted that they needed to watch the newcomer act alongside Jiang Hanjiang right now. Before the cameras, the newcomer and Jiang Hanjiang stood face to face, bracing for a dramatic showdown. Jiang Hanjiang flashed a sinister smile, threatening the newcomer that things would be very different compared to yesterday. The newcomer remained composed, responding politely and expressing his eagerness to work with Jiang Hanjiang. The atmosphere on set suddenly became incredibly tense. The call to action rang out clearly, marking the start of their confrontation. Jiang Hanjiang suddenly pressed the attack, bringing up past victims and asserting that he had already secured the upper hand. Unable to contain his anger, Jiang Hanjiang lunged forward to grab the newcomer by the collar, spitting insults at him. The supporting actress was stunned by Jiang Hanjiang's improvised actions that went beyond the script. She couldn't believe her eyes. How could such a brilliant performance be dismissed as merely relying on connections? The perfection in the newcomer's every gesture left the supporting actress bewildered, wondering how this was even possible. In just a few short days, the newcomer had reached a level of acting so superb that everyone was left in awe. The supporting actress swallowed hard. Her initial skepticism had now been replaced by genuine fear. The newcomer smiled cryptically, realizing that if he wasn't careful, he himself would end up in serious trouble.
The newcomer stood frozen, his eyes showing clear shock as he faced Jiang Hanjiang's cryptic remarks.
Jiang Hanjiang sneered, claiming that everything the newcomer had experienced so far was just a perfectly orchestrated act to manipulate him.
The newcomer trembled, script in hand, doubting Jiang Hanjiang's harsh critique that he was merely acting on instinct without a backup plan.
Newcomer bowed his head in thought, admitting that instinct was the only thing guiding him through this treacherous game. Jiang Hanjiang slammed his hand onto the table, the sharp thud ringing out like a cold warning. Jiang Hanjiang scoffed, lecturing him that a good actor never lets himself be carried away by emotions but must know how to submit to someone else's script. Jiang Hanjiang's words spiraled deep into the newcomer's mind, leaving him shaken by the concept of a stage that wasn't meant for just one person. Jiang Hanjiang sat there nonchalantly. He wanted the newcomer to learn how to harmonize with other characters if he wanted to survive in this cruel world. The newcomer looked confused as Jiang Hanjiang insisted the real problem wasn't him but everyone else. Jiang Hanjiang's gaze flickered toward the parking lot where black cars sat silently waiting like predators.
Jiang Hanjiang coldly voiced his concern that others would be dragged into a vortex of disaster along with the newcomer.
The shout of "cut" rang out sharply, shattering the tension as the director grew dissatisfied with the supporting actress's performance. Disappointment was etched on the director's face. He felt something was wrong with the way the supporting actress was portraying the scene. Repeated shouts of "cut" echoed, creating a suffocating pressure on the entire film crew. A man approached to check on the supporting actress, his expression filled with anxiety over the chaotic situation. The scene cut to a close-up of the costumes, where tension was steadily escalating between the characters. The supporting actress stood there, pale, her eyes filled with terror from the invisible pressures weighing upon her. Her eyes widened in horror, as if she had just realized a terrifying truth was closing in on her. An explosion of rage, a piercing scream echoed as it called out the name Jian Li. Hyeonsuk collapsed to the ground, caught off guard by a sudden, forceful impact. Jian Li appeared with imposing authority right in front of the police station, confronting a murderous Manhwa Jiang. Jian Li squinted, her voice cold and menacing, daring to lay a hand on a detective right in front of the police station. "Are you?" Manhwa Jiang stood stunned, his eyes wide with shock. "Hyeonsu is a detective?" Manhwa Jiang looked at Hyeonsu sitting on the ground, realizing his plan had completely fallen apart. Hyeonsu maintained a calm expression, completely unshaken by the current situation. Manhwa Jiang couldn't hide the panic on his face. You're a police officer?" Clinking sound of handcuffs echoed as Jian Li coldly declared, "Fool, this is the retribution for someone caught red-handed." Jian Li turned to check on him. "Are you alright, Hyeonsu?" Jian Li mocked Manhwa Jiang. "How did you let someone like him beat you to a pulp? Maybe it's time you just retired." Footsteps echoed as Manhwa Jiang shuffled away in defeat. Manhwa Jiang whispered into Hyeonsu's ear, "Look on the bright side, at least you have one less mouth to feed in these tough economic times." Manhwa Jiang gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with bitterness and hatred. Hyeonsu and Manhwa Jiang stood side by side, the tension between them becoming palpable. Hyeonsu thought to himself, Manhwa Jiang is truly no ordinary man. Hyeonsu asked, "What do you think of your own performance?" Manhwa Jiang smirked, "Not bad." Hyeonsu replied, "Not bad? Is your standard too high, or do you just lack self-awareness?" Hyeonsu, with a resolute gaze, "I still have a long way to go. I think I could have done better than that." Manhwa Jiang said coldly, "I mean, it's not like you're the one people should be worried about right now." Their gazes shifted toward Ina Ju, who was standing deep in thought in the distance. Ina Ju worriedly whispered to herself, "If she's not careful, she'll be completely overwhelmed." Ina Ju stood silently before the camera, feeling the pressure weighing down on her. The atmosphere turned somber as a question echoed, "Is it because of me?" Manhwa Jiang replied, "Maybe, maybe not. Regardless, that's Ina Ju's problem. You shouldn't worry about it, Hyeonsu." Manhwa Jiang continued, "What I'm worried about is that the other actors will be dragged into that vortex along with you, Hyeonsu." Hyeonsu recalled, when Manhwa Jiang said that the first time, I didn't understand what he meant. But after seeing Ina Ju's performance today, I finally understood. Hyeonsu mused, "My instinctive approach doesn't harmonize with the other actors." It wasn't obvious to Manhwa Jiang, but it's an aggressive acting style that just doesn't mesh with others. Hyeonsu faced intense skepticism regarding his acting ability. Manhwa Jiang coldly dismissed the thoughts in Hyeonsu's head, asserting that intervening now would be crossing the line. Manhwa Jiang stifled the anxiety, reminding Hyeonsu that not everyone can be the protagonist, just trust and wait for young Mi Jin. Manhwa Jiang showed a photo of Jian Li on his phone, confirming that she was the owner of the diary. Young Mi Jin was shocked when she saw the information on the phone. Hyeonsu exclaimed in astonishment upon realizing the identity of the person behind it all. Tension was clearly visible on Hyeonsu's face. Hyeonsu smiled in relief, expressing joy at seeing that young Mi Jin was still safe. Young Mi Jin trembled, doubting the true nature of the person standing before her. On set, the work atmosphere remained hectic.
Colleagues showered Ina Ju with praise for her outstanding performance. Ina Ju was stunned, feeling as if her legs were about to give out.
Ina Ju's gaze turned cold and her entire demeanor shifted instantly.
Hyansu watched intently, curious to see how everyone would evaluate his performance.
Hyansu narrowed his eyes. Finally, he had pinpointed the core issue. Hyansu bluntly pointed out that the problem wasn't Ina Ju's acting but rather the sense of a wall standing between them whenever he observed her.
Ina Ju was stunned by Hyansu's sharp perception of that invisible wall. Confusion became clearly etched in Ina Ju's mind. Hyansu questioned whether young Mi-jin had realized this from the very beginning. Hyansu sensed a terrifying shift in young Mi-jin's soul. Hyansu asserted that young Mi-jin was being gradually tainted by darkness.
The story slowly unraveled the tragedy of young Mi-jin, who was losing her innate sense of freedom.
Young Mi-jin was completely immersed and swallowed by Ji-unli's darkness.
Hyansu believed that deep down, young Mi-jin already knew Ji-unli was a broken individual.
Though she tried to deny it, young Mi-jin's doubts were shattered by the darkness exposed by Manhwa Jang.
Enveloped by despair, Ina Ju was sinking deeper into a bottomless pit of helplessness. To create a vivid character, an actor must fully understand the world the script is building. Ina Ju had subconsciously been drawn into that world, becoming far too immersed in the characters of Ji-unli and young Mi-jin. Hyansu secretly admired this natural acting ability like a gift from the heavens. Hyansu looked young Mi-jin straight in the eyes, affirming that her insecurity in the performance felt so real it was as if he were facing a living, breathing person.
Young Mi-jin smirked, questioning if Hyansu was implying that acting could never truly reach perfection. Yang Mi-jin's gaze softened. She told herself that her efforts hadn't been in vain after all. Hyansu couldn't hide his admiration, admitting he was genuinely impressed by her performance, to which young Mi-jin responded with humble modesty.
Manhwa Jang stood watching from afar, a sinister smile appearing on his face as he felt an interesting plot twist had just emerged. The setting shifted abruptly. Hyansu and Ji-unli stood facing each other in a dark warehouse where Ji-unli was pointing a gun at Hyansu. Hyansu stepped forward, calmly facing the muzzle and uttering a deadly proposition.
Ji-unli trembled, gripping the weapon tightly. She couldn't understand why Hyansu was forcing her to pull the trigger.
Shock was visible on Ji-unli's face as she screamed, demanding to know why Hyansu wanted her to end his life. Hyansu maintained his cold composure, demanding that Ji-unli answer him if she still had a shred of humanity left. Hyansu's gaze remained sharp, completely unfazed by the gun pointed directly at him. Each of Hyansu's steps was deliberate as he moved forward, creating suffocating pressure in the silent space. A gunshot rang out piercingly, and a flash of light from Ji-unli's barrel tore through the atmosphere.
Hyansu collapsed, pulling Ji-unli into his embrace, leaving her in absolute shock at his unexpected action.
Panicked, Ji-unli repeatedly screamed, asking Hyansu for the reason behind this insane act. In a wave of emotion, Ji-unli questioned what her place in his heart was to make things turn out this horribly. Hyansu wheezed with his final breaths, admitting he had felt it the very moment he first met Ji-unli. Ji-unli was devastated as she watched Hyansu slowly fade away in her arms. Remorse began to consume her mind. Agony was etched onto Ji-unli's face. She couldn't believe what had just unfolded before her eyes. Ji-unli's painful scream echoed throughout the warehouse as she clutched Hyansu's motionless body. The tragic scene played out right before the camera lens, where the rawest emotions were captured with cruelty. Choking back tears, Ji-unli confessed that Hyansu's immersion into the character had caused her to suffer too much. Hyansu slumped his head, softly asking if the other person had ever held any feelings for young Mi-jin. A shadow envelopes the space, leaving a question hanging in the thick, suspense-filled atmosphere. Hyansu's gaze hardens. It seems the truth is finally coming to light after this calculated charade. Mr. Kim couldn't hide his excitement as he praised the actor's flawless performance. Mr. Kim showered Hyansu with praise for helping the film crew wrap up shooting ahead of schedule. Hyansu humbly replied that this filming opportunity was a valuable lesson for him. Mr. Kim laughed heartily at Hyansu's humility, then quickly shifted the topic to the trailer they had discussed earlier. Mr. Kim confidently announced that the production team had decided to feature Ji-unli's first appearance in the forest as the highlight, scheduled to air next weekend. Hyansu was taken aback to learn that his scene was chosen for the trailer and felt conflicted about his status as the lead actor in the film. Ina calmly reassured Hyansu that the screenwriter's choice perfectly matched the overall tone of the movie. Seeing Hyansu's hesitation, Ina insisted that no other scene could capture the film's spirit better and that Hyansu had every reason to be proud. The official trailer for the movie Stained by Your Darkness has begun airing widely. As online comments began to explode, the production team released a short clip capturing the impressive appearance of Ji-unli. Within just 1 week, the clip had garnered over 300,000 views. For a production without any A-list stars, this is truly an impressive number beyond expectations. The movie title appeared in a striking manner, cementing the position of a rising acting talent.
The entire apartment complex seemed to awaken to the news of an acting talent's return. Hyansu had just returned home when he was teased by his family, leaving him momentarily bewildered. Hyansu called out to greet Jong-sun Lim, who was busy in the cozy kitchen. Jong-sun Lim smiled warmly, welcoming Hyansu back home.
Yumi Kim clung to Hyansu, demanding his attention the moment he stepped inside. Yumi Kim giggled with a playful look as she received a gift from Hyansu. Yumi Kim playfully scolded Hyansu for spending money on gifts, reminding him that he needed to save for his final semester.
Yumi Kim couldn't hide her excitement as she teased Hyansu about having a famous actor for an older brother. Hyansu couldn't help but step in to curb Yumi Kim's excessive excitement.
After a gentle tap on the head, Yumi Kim finally settled down in submission.
The family dinner was served with steaming, delicious dishes spread out on the table.
While eating, Hyansu praised Jong-sun Lim's cooking, admitting that the film crew's food couldn't compare. Just then, Yumi Kim remembered the show's airtime and reminded everyone about the schedule. The whole family gathered in front of the TV, and Yumi Kim couldn't hide her nervousness as she waited for Hyansu to appear on screen. Hyansu was also filled with emotion, admitting that he still couldn't believe this was actually happening right before his eyes.
Hyansu's eyes gleamed with confidence and anticipation as the crucial moment arrived.
The show officially began, and the sight of Hyansu on the TV screen captured the entire family's attention.
This show is truly captivating. Yumi Kim couldn't hide her amazement at the unexpected twists unfolding on screen. But Yumi Kim wondered why Hyansu hadn't appeared yet.
Hyansu just smiled and replied that he wouldn't be on until the third episode. Jong-sun Lim took the chance to tease Yumi Kim about finding an excuse to see Hyansu next time. Yumi Kim flusteredly defended herself, trying to steer the conversation back to how much more fun it is for the family to watch Hyansu on TV together.
Jong-sun Lim looked at Hyansu with a tender gaze, listening as he called out Mom. Hyansu confidently affirmed to Jong-sun Lim that he was now officially a professional actor. Jong-sun Lim was stunned by Hyansu's declaration.
Jong-sun Lim smiled, her eyes filled with nostalgia. To her, Hyansu and his late father had always been actors in their hearts for a long time.
Jong-sun Lim expressed her happiness, believing that if his father were still alive, he would certainly be very proud of Hyansu's success. Hyansu fell silent, moved by Jong-sun Lim's mention of his father. To break the heavy atmosphere, Hyansu quickly changes the subject and playfully asks Jong-sun Lim about his pocket money.
Jong-sun Lim smiles kindly, reminding him of the generous sum she sent last week and encouraging him to keep pushing forward on his acting career. Suddenly, the ringing of Hyansu's phone shatters the quiet. The caller's name flashes on the screen. Hyansu picks up, and on the other end, Mr. Kim is excitedly recounting how the whole team is watching the premiere together over some drinks.
Hyansu checks in on everyone, and Mr. Kim reports that the show is a massive hit and everyone is tuning in. Mr. Kim asks if Hyansu has checked the viewership ratings for the first episode yet. Upon hearing the figure of 11.8%, Hyansu was left stunned and in disbelief.
It's an incredibly impressive start for the drama, and articles and promotions are already flooding everywhere. Mr. Kim excitedly warns Hyansu to brace himself as he's about to be buried under a mountain of scripts. Hyansu wears a determined smile, ready to face the busy days ahead. Hyansu visits his regular pub, a place he hasn't stepped foot in for quite a while. As soon as he walks in, he's instantly recognized and greeted with a warm welcome. The whole pub erupts in excitement at the sight of Hyansu. Everyone brings up old promises, urging Hyansu to get ready for the celebrations to come.
Hyansu just laughs it off, going along with everyone's enthusiasm.
Hyansu's friend pumps his fist, declaring that he's covering every round of drinks from now on. The pub's menu is still packed with all the delicious dishes they used to enjoy. They all toast together, congratulating Hyansu in advance for the Best New Actor award he's destined to win.
During the party, Hyansu's friend asks about his upcoming plans.
Hyansu just shrugs, having no specific strategy yet since the show has only been on air for a week. Not letting Hyansu finish his thought, his friend cuts in with a knowing look. Hyansu stands there, confused about what's going on. His friend firmly asserts that even in just the first week, the show's heat is explosive. He believes that once Jian Lee makes his appearance this weekend, things will go off the charts. Hyansu is skeptical, but with his friend's years of industry experience, he's already predicted that Hyansu will soon be swamped with work-related calls.
Just then, the phone on the table rings violently, cutting their conversation short.
His friend is stunned, jokingly asking if Hyansu has psychic powers and urging him to pick up. It might be a lucrative offer.
Hyansu looks at the screen, unable to hide his shock. He can't believe what he's seeing. The name Ina is displayed clearly on the screen. Hyansu wonders why she would be calling him at this hour. Seeing the name, those around him are speechless.
They are amazed that Hyansu was close enough to Ina to call her so casually. Hyansu's friend immediately signals everyone to be quiet, creating space for Hyansu to take the call from Ina herself.
Hyansu clears his throat, tries to stay calm, and answers. On the other end, Ina asks for his current location.
Hyansu honestly replies that he is in Daihakaro. Ina cheers with excitement, noting that her agency office is right in that area.
Hyansu explains he's out drinking with some college friends. Ina seems to already know about this group.
Ina confirms immediately that she knows his college friends.
Hyansu was stunned when Ina suggests dropping by where he's sitting.
This unexpected arrival leaves him completely flustered. Before Hyansu can even respond, Ina appears right in front of the group, politely greeting them and apologizing for the intrusion.
Everyone is dumbfounded by Ina's presence. Hyansu hurriedly asks why she came, and Ina replies that as a lead actor, she needs to seize every chance to promote the show. Hyansu just nods, privately mulling over Ina's convincing reasoning for promotion. The atmosphere dies down for a moment before a knowing smile spreads across Ina's face.
Ina flashes a mischievous grin, looking as if she has achieved exactly what she came to the party for.
Amidst the hurried atmosphere, old acquaintances were shocked to have to say goodbye to Ina Ju. Ina Ju cleverly retorted, citing her close relationship with Hyansu as an explanation for her presence.
The air was buzzing with cheers about the live screening, while Hyansu stood silently watching Ina Ju.
Hyansu thanked Ina Ju for the delightful evening, and the two decided to take a walk together under the night sky.
Ina Ju reminisced about how it felt like being back in college, noting how perfectly Hyansu had blended in with everyone. Ina Ju confided that her busy acting career had caused her to gradually lose touch with those around her. Her excellence in the profession inadvertently created a distance between Ina Ju and other female colleagues.
Faced with Ina Ju's confession, Hyansu could only respond with a warm welcome.
Ina Ju invited Hyansu to come and hang out with the group whenever he wanted. Hyansu called out Ina Ju's name in surprise, as if something had caught him off guard.
A mischievous smile appeared on Ina Ju's face.
Ina Ju burst into hearty laughter. It turned out it was all just a prank. Hyansu sighed in relief, while Ina Ju took pride in her acting skills.
Hyansu's footsteps faltered, and the atmosphere suddenly turned serious. Ina Ju decided to get straight to the point with Hyansu.
Ina Ju's gaze became determined as she expressed her desire to partner with Hyansu.
Hyansu could not hide his shock at the unexpected proposal.
Ina Ju questioned Hyansu's astonishment, asserting that he shouldn't misunderstand her intentions.
Ina Ju reached out, signaling to Hyansu what she was really referring to.
Ina Ju spread her arms wide, pointing toward the building in the distance. The towering Bloom building appeared, leaving Hyansu stunned.
Hyansu asked whether actors often scouted one another.
Ina Ju confirmed it and revealed that her own CEO had requested her to connect with Hyansu.
Hyansu remained skeptical, wondering if the CEO had truly ever seen him act.
Ina Ju asserted that the CEO had watched Hyansu's camera test multiple times.
Ina Ju concluded by offering Hyansu the chance to meet the powerful CEO. At a quiet cafe, an important meeting was about to begin.
Hyansu greeted the woman, standing face to face with the person of immense power.
Ji-Yoon-woo, the CEO of Bloom Entertainment, appeared before Hyansu with a smile. Hyansu couldn't help but be amazed by the youthful appearance of Ji-Yoon-woo, whom he had heard was over 40. Ji-Yoon-woo smiled, seemingly reading Hyansu's mind as she addressed his thoughts directly. Hyansu was startled, wondering if Ji-Yoon-woo had telepathic abilities, but she quickly denied it. Ji-Yoon-woo shared that this was how she started before building her current entertainment empire. Hyansu remained doubtful about Ji-Yoon-woo's claims while she continued to talk about her company's work style. Ji-Yoon-woo politely apologized for keeping Mr. Kim waiting, and Mr. Kim replied that he arrived early because he lives nearby. A business card from Bloom Entertainment was gently pushed toward Mr. Kim by Ji-Yoon-woo. The business card of Ji-Yoon-woo, CEO of Bloom Entertainment, lay neatly on the table in front of Mr. Kim. Bloom Entertainment is a rising company, home to many young talents like Ina Ju, and is growing strongly in the entertainment industry. Ji-Yoon-woo confidently asserted that her company truly understands how to develop the potential and careers of new actors. Mr. Kim's gaze was deep in thought as he pondered Ji-Yoon-woo's offer. Ji-Yoon-woo brings up the audition from 6 months ago and questions why Mr. Kim didn't reach out to him sooner. Ji-Yoon-woo likens Mr. Kim to a flower on the verge of blooming. Ji-Yoon-woo explains that he didn't want to interfere with Mr. Kim's acting process. Ji-Yoon-woo honestly states that with his current potential, Mr. Kim will undoubtedly be sought after by many agencies soon. Ji-Yoon-woo believes that Mr. Kim will achieve massive success regardless of whether he chooses to join Bloom Entertainment or not. Mr. Kim listens to Ji-Yoon-woo with a serious expression. Ji-Yoon-woo admits he cannot promise the absolute best terms, but he commits to one important thing. Ji-Yoon-woo promises that Bloom Entertainment will ensure Mr. Kim is always free to pursue the acting style he desires. Ji-Yoon-woo's determined gaze is fixed on Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim is stunned by Ji-Yoon-woo's sincere offer.
Ji-Yoon-woo asserts that he isn't forcing Mr. Kim to answer immediately, as this offer is a testament to the company's vision and trust in him. Mr. Kim says he will think it over carefully and give Ji-Yoon-woo a response soon. A week passes by in a flash. The audience begins to buzz with excitement over Ji-Yoon-woo's appearance on screen.
Many are captivated by Hyunsu's cold yet incredibly charismatic aura.
In the media, the reaction to Hyunsu explodes, driving viewership ratings up to 13%.
Hyunsu's magnetic appeal has caught the keen eye of industry experts.
Many quickly recognize Hyunsu's true potential from just a few short scenes.
Just as Ji-Yoon-woo predicted, a flood of offers begins to pour in for Hyunsu.
Representatives from Impact Agency tirelessly make tempting offers, promising a brilliant future for Hyunsu's career.
Mr. Kim insists that partnering with a prestigious agency is the solid foundation needed for Hyunsu to build his reputation in the entertainment industry.
Not stopping there, Mr. Kim even proposes a favorable 60-40 profit-sharing split, an extremely generous rate for a rookie like Hyunsu. Although Hyunsu might still be wary of the deal, the backing from Impact is indisputable. From top-tier staff to private transport, Impact is ready to provide the best conditions to recruit Hyunsu.
In a quiet room, Hyunsu holds his phone, his mind torn by the barrage of offers. Hyunsu admits he is genuinely swayed by the tangible benefits this company is offering.
The image of Ji-Yoon-woo flashes through Hyunsu's mind like a reminder of the choices waiting ahead. Every face and every vision of his future acting career swirl around, leaving Hyunsu feeling conflicted. On the other end of the line, Ji-Yoon-woo firmly reaffirms that he will create every condition for Hyunsu to satisfy his passion for acting. Determination flashes in Hyunsu's eyes.
No longer hesitating, Hyunsu has made his own choice. The phone rings and Hyunsu decisively gives his final answer.
Hyunsu officially confirms the contract signing, exhaling a sigh of relief after shedding the heavy burden of indecision.
Ji-Yoon-woo smiles with satisfaction, affirming that this is the best decision Hyunsu has ever made. The next day, at the office, evidence of Hyunsu's success is displayed as proof of his potential.
Ji-Yoon-woo details a 3-year contract with a 70-30 split, along with a commitment to comprehensive support in staffing and logistics. Hyunsu was surprised by these overly generous terms, which far exceed what he had expected.
Every privilege regarding transportation and personal assistance begins to become clearer in Hyunsu's mind. Though still slightly bewildered, Hyunsu cannot believe he has stepped into a new chapter of his life.
Ji-Yoon-woo wears a knowing smile, as if he had all the cards in his hand all along. With a light tap on the table, Ji-Yoon-woo concludes the discussion with a confident affirmation.
Ji-Yoon-woo believes that the day Hyunsu shines brightly at the pinnacle of fame will arrive sooner than Hyunsu expects.
Faced with Ji-Yoon-woo's confidence, Hyunsu can only stand in stunned silence, feeling the tidal wave of change approaching. Trophies and certificates are displayed prominently on the shelf, serving as a testament to the achievements attained. A new script appears on the table, signaling the start of a mysterious journey. Hae-young sits across from Ju Sung-ho, gently explaining to him the importance of choosing a script that suits his capabilities.
Hae-young frankly acknowledges Ju Sung-ho's acting talent but points out that he is still not widely known in the industry. To turn the tide, Hae-young advises Ju Sung-ho to actively participate in auditions to seek out opportunities.
Hae-young emphasizes that instead of waiting passively, proactively seeking new experience is the key to Ju Sung-ho's career growth. Hae-young hands over the first script and suggests that Ju Sung-ho take a look at a romantic comedy project.
Ju Sung-ho is surprised by this proposal, as he has never tried his hand at the romantic comedy genre before.
Hae-young reassures Ju Sung-ho that this villain role fits his aura perfectly, making Ju Sung-ho feel much more confident. Hae-young continues her analysis, asserting that this is a potential project with an up-and-coming writer, guaranteeing success for Ju Sung-ho.
The assurance of high viewership ratings, Hae-young affirms that this is a safe choice for Ju Sung-ho's next move.
Hae-young suggests that choosing a role similar to successful archetypes is also a solid strategy to maintain Ju Sung-ho's image in the eyes of the audience. Immediately after, Hae-young introduces a second, completely different option, leaving Ju Sung-ho filled with curiosity.
Ju Sung-ho is stunned when he hears the name of the mentioned author.
It is a veteran television screenwriter famous for works with profound social messages.
Both fans and industry experts have a special admiration for this author's style.
This author is truly a master at guiding the audience's emotions through every frame. Hae-young explains that this screenwriter usually works with a fixed group of actors and rarely holds auditions for newcomers.
Ju Sung-ho realizes this is a rare opportunity and feels lucky that the company secured this position.
Hae-young asserts that this script is completely different, requiring Ju Sung-ho to showcase an entirely new side compared to his previous roles. Ju Sung-ho is confused because the script content is so vague, leaving him unsure about the character he will be playing. Hae-young reveals that this screenwriter is famous for modifying scripts during filming based on the actors' performances. Even though it is only the first draft, Haeyoung still advises Ju Sung-ho to carefully consider this project. Haeyoung bluntly advises Ju Sung-ho to choose this project even if it is not explosive, it will help him prove his true mettle.
Ju Sung-ho sits in deep thought, reflecting on Haeyoung's heartfelt advice.
Haeyoung tells Ju Sung-ho that there is no need to rush, just stay calm to achieve the most worthy results. Ju Sung-ho is grateful for the dedicated support the company has provided him. The sound of a ship's horn resonates through the brilliant sunset, signaling the start of a new journey.
Everyone on the ship is looking out toward the vast open sea.
The ship cuts through the waves, heading straight into promising waters.
Amidst the chaos, Jun-hyuk Lee is trying to perform CPR on a victim, but their breathing has become extremely faint.
Jun-hyuk Lee's determined gaze appears. He tells himself he must save at least one more life.
Haeyoung stands there, looking at Jun-hyuk Lee with worried eyes, questioning why he wants to throw himself into danger. Haeyoung's tears stream down as she chokes back, asking Jun-hyuk Lee why it had to be him.
Jun-hyuk Lee tries to reassure Haeyoung that the rescue team is on their way, urging her to stay calm.
Haeyoung doesn't want to hear anything else, she just begs Jun-hyuk Lee to stay by her side. Amidst the sound of crashing waves, Jun-hyuk Lee hugs Haeyoung tightly as a final farewell.
Although Haeyoung tries to hold him back, Jun-hyuk Lee remains determined to leave because he knows he can save another life. Jun-hyuk Lee smiles to reassure Haeyoung, asserting that he grew up on the island so he won't be in danger just staying around the dock. Suddenly, a powerful jolt causes everything around to sway violently. Jun-hyuk Lee loudly introduces himself as a rescue diver and volunteers to participate in the passenger rescue operation. Jun-hyuk Lee's gaze is full of determination, ready to face the perils beneath the sea. Ju Sung-ho jolts awake, his eyes wide with shock after the nightmare. Ju Sung-ho's body jerks, still unable to shake off the sense of bewilderment from that vivid dream. Ju Sung-ho sits dazed on his bed in the dark room, trying to regain his composure after the strange dream. Ju Sung-ho wonders if the man in his dream is truly still alive. Ju Sung-ho's dreams seem to be haunting him, making him doubt the reality of his existence. Ju Sung-ho sits cross-legged on the bed, intently reading the script in his hands, trying to find new inspiration. Ju Sung-ho wonders if his dreams change every time he receives a new script. Ju Sung-ho frowns, as if something is not quite right, making him feel uneasy. Ju Sung-ho sets the script down, he feels he cannot act normally in his current state. Ju Sung-ho thinks to himself that he feels guilty, but these scripts are truly not a good fit. Ju Sung-ho places his hand on the computer, he needs to find a project that can convey all his emotions and personal experiences. Ju Sung-ho begins to type, determined to dig deeper into that strange dream. Ju Sung-ho searches for information about the shipwreck at the Westport, feeling that this is no random event. Ju Sung-ho's eyes widen in astonishment when he finally finds the information he needs. The document displays details about the passenger ship sinking in Incheon in 1993, a historic tragedy in South Korea. Ju Sung-ho is stunned by the figure of 372 passengers, with only 71 survivors. Ju Sung-ho's finger clicks the mouse as he continues to delve into the heartbreaking truths of the past. Ju Sung-ho's hand trembles on the computer mouse, his anxiety evident in every slight movement. Ju Sung-ho's face is extremely tense, his eyes shining with worry as he faces the data on the screen. Ju Sung-ho mutters unconsciously, determined to save something before it is too late. An unexpected event makes Ju Sung-ho jump, his eyes wide with surprise. Ju Sung-ho puts his hand to his head, realizing that the actual situation is far more dangerous than he had anticipated. The feeling of unease still haunts Ju Sung-ho, he cannot stop thinking about the risks looming ahead. Just then, the phone on the desk suddenly vibrates continuously, cutting off Ju Sung-ho's train of thought. The phone screen displays an incoming call, drawing Ju Sung-ho's attention. Haeyoung looks at Ju Sung-ho in surprise, she cannot believe the request to search for the script he just made. Ju Sung-ho sincerely explains to Haeyoung that he knows this is an unreasonable request, but it is truly important. Haeyoung stands still, listening intently to Ju Sung-ho in the quiet room. Haeyoung cannot hide her curiosity and asks Ju Sung-ho about the real reason behind this request. Ju Sung-ho shares with Haeyoung that he heard from an old acquaintance about a script based on that incident from years ago. Ju Sung-ho expresses his special interest in the content of that script and hopes for Haeyoung's help in finding it. Haeyoung suddenly asks a follow-up question, wanting to confirm if Ju Sung-ho really wants to take on this role. Haeyoung reproaches Ju Sung-ho for making everything so complicated when he could have just said it straight from the beginning. Haeyoung straight up questions Ju Sung-ho about whether he is doubting her abilities. Haeyoung quickly makes a decision, affirming that she will help Ju Sung-ho trace the script and contact those involved. The two discuss the shipwreck on the West Coast, with Ju Sung-ho convinced that this script is definitely connected to that event. Before starting, Haeyoung reminds Ju Sung-ho that he still has an important task to do first. Haeyoung gives a cryptic smile, leaving Ju Sung-ho curious about what she is about to ask.
A new day begin athea part mừng công let vi on the major events are about to unfold. Geongo Upper with confident introduction himself as a new manager and ready to get right to work. Geongo Dancer hesita to assert his position as a veteran staff member VW has been with Bloom since he very beginning. Geongo proudly talk about his has mentored promising to bring about major opportunity. Hyun-soo Kim bows politically responding with humility and high determination. Hyun-soo Kim politen sát Geongo slide off gas for a moment. Geongo quickly outlined that he is simply follow order from the CEO. Geongo certainly assess Hyun-soo Kim as a young man VW still retain his innocence ultimately the industrial scandal. Based on Hyun-soo Kim's attitude, Geongo believe he will achieve great things in the future. Geongo urged Hyun-soo Kim to move quickly back to the schedule is very packed. Hyun-soo Kim is Satan to really he is about to face his professional photo shoot. Geongo remind Hyun-soo Kim to prepare mentally for a high pressure work day. Hyun-soo Kim quickly step into the studio space with everything is already prepared. Geongo's arrival at the set attract the attention of everyone around. Gina after with great energy ever seen her overwhelmed joy at seeing Geongo again. Geongo modestly denies her title of senior manager and asks Gina to advance further in her career. Geongo asks about the actor Gina is currently managing at the studio. Gina points out Hyun-soo Kim leaving Geongo and then Billy surprised. Geongo confirms the presence of Hyun-soo Kim right beside him. Gina awardingly apologizes Hyun-soo Kim's appearance look too ordinary compared to her Ethetino. Gina sends an industry bank change in Hyun-soo Kim's eyes and demeanor. Gina wonders if he will standing in front of her is truly the same person. Hyun-soo Kim speaks up and asks if he is anything Gina would like to tell him. Gina quickly regains her compound and asks about Hyun-soo Kim's photo shoot everything. Gina begins outline the first process for the upcoming photo shoot. A detailed plan for the set of the professional photo shoot after. Gina is full of excitement as she begins guiding Hyun-soo Kim throughout the concept idea. Hyun-soo Kim listened carefully admitting that he only learned about this plan yesterday. Gina smiled, showing she understands the previous manager's work style all too well. Hyun-soo Kim remained humble, asserting that he didn't take this photo shoot lightly at all. He simply thought that professional like Gina will know how to handle things better than him. Gina immediately cut onto Hyun-soo Kim's intentino. She thinks that living everything entirely to the professional is quite a difficult risk. But that is recently the answer Gina was expecting. A cryptic smile appeared on her face. From the moment she received the call, Gina had her out calculation for this work session. Gina begin mapping out a concept plan. First, Wunton saw highlight Hyun-soo Kim's image cum laude serious style for the full body shot. Finally, Gina wanted to aim for an impulsive and charismatic look. To achieve that, Gina bluntly rejected that Hyun-soo Kim just made a truly terrifying face. Hyun-soo Kim accepted the challenge without any hesitation. Gina smiled confident. She is ready to get to work. The atmosphere in the studio became more forced than ever. The sound of camera flash is echoed, signaling the official start of the photo shoot. With every click of the shooter, Hyun-soo Kim shifted his aura. Hyun-soo Kim's gear side again, radiating an entirely different aura. And just like that, this photo reveals a completely new side of Hyun-soo Kim. Gina cao đơn tờ hết bút bê Asonic. She wonder how so many with such an ordinary face as Hyun-soo Kim cao evoke such a terrifying intensity. It seems as how Hyun-soo Kim possess a thousand different face hidden behind that simple exterior. Gina narrowed her eyes, her mind swirling with questions. I did every single photo made him feel like an entirely different person. Gina decided to stop. She needed a short break to collect her thoughts. The confusion on Gina's face was evident after everything she had just once. She returned to her desk, I read to the screen to meticulously inspect the fillet she had just set up. Gina was stunned. Hyun-soo Kim's gear in every single shot looked completely different. The difference was so sad that it left her in a look. Dozens of photos of Hyun-soo Kim will like it one esung it out dissing charisma. Gina hurried collect Mr. Kim over. She needed to vary her thoughts with him. She pointed to one photo with Hyun-soo Kim look truly cool and detached. Then she switched to the next with Hyun-soo Kim carrying an entirely different calm demeanor. Hyun-soo Kim sending ni baby and so felt kung phúc hay cao đơn tờ si any different at all. Gina demanded that Hyun-soo Kim take a close look. In the other photo, Hyun-soo Kim's facial features were clearer than ever before. Hyun-soo Kim was soon as he really Ratino hit him. It didn't stop here. Looking at her other photo, her transformation became even more bizarre. Hyun-soo Kim still didn't notice her anomaly. Kasu remarking that both photo we taken cleanly and professionally. But Gina didn't think so. To her, her different view them was obvious. Hyun-soo Kim calmly shook his head awkwardly, promising to do better next time. Gina remained persistent, questioning him to confirm if he truly failed to notice her difference. Gina gently reassures him that he hadn't done anything wrong, but she still wanted to make a small change. Gina proposed a bold idea, making both photos together, which she believed would create something far more intriguing. Gina admitted that it was a blend of Hyun-soo Kim's nature warm and a dark sinister aura on the very same face. She likened it to the two-faced ghost Janus from Roman mythology. Faced with such an enigmatic idea, Hyun-soo Kim had no choice but to agree. In the quick studio, Hyun-soo Kim stood ready for a bizarre photography trick. However, he was one small detail that Hyun-soo Kim completely missed. The truth was neither of the two conflicting aura Gina sensed actually belonged to Hyun-soo Kim. A terrifying secret was hidden behind Hyun-soo Kim's exterior, something even he was not aware of. Hyun-soo Kim's eyes widened, shocked seeing as he released something horrific. The balloon building tower under the blue sky, we set with loud bang brutal. Woman said that Gina had stopped thinking about how she had just captured a shot of a live film. Gina seemed incredibly excited event declaring that she will take photo of Hyun-soo Kim for free from now on. Hyun-soo Kim calmly forced a smile, imagining himself being forced by Gina to pose until he collapsed from assassino. Looking at this photo, Hyun-soo Kim finally began to understand the real reason behind everything. Gina continued the conversation, as like the real reason she had summoned Hyun-soo Kim today. At the same time, Gina played something on the table with a soft. Hyun-soo Kim stood frozen in shock as he laid eyes on it. It was the very ship that Hyun-soo Kim had been searching for all this time. Gina admits that she had found it a week ago, but not until very everything before making a final decision. And before Hyun-soo Kim can even reach, Gina still deal with a firm and uncompound declaration.
The discussion between Hyun-soo Kim and Seol-yu begins with a skeptical question regarding the new film project. Hyun-soo Kim and Seol-yu are sitting down for a serious negotiation. While the budget and script seem fine, there are still underlying issues. Hyun-soo Kim gestures with his finger, pointing out that the first weakness of this project is its extremely small production scale. Seol-yu continues, noting that since the director comes from an independent film background, this is their first attempt at a commercial feature. Seol-yu asserts that the director's style is too unconventional, leading her to doubt the project's profitability. Hyun-soo Kim is stunned. He immediately understands that Seol-yu means this project is unlikely to yield the expected returns. Seol-yu gives a slight nod, confirming that Hyun-soo Kim's assessment is entirely accurate. Hyun-soo Kim shares that he initially mistook it for a disaster movie, but the reality is completely different. The title of the film appears on the table, Torso on the Blue, a name full of hidden meaning. The story follows a woman also named Seol-yu who still cannot let go of her lover who died in a sea accident 10 years ago. Everything changes when Seol-yu's character encounters an ice statue shaped like her former lover right on the beach. Hyun-soo Kim summarizes that this is clearly a romantic film with a touch of fantasy. Seol-yu explains that in romantic films, supporting characters do not have as much screen time as they do in TV dramas. Hyun-soo Kim wonders if he will have to play the lead, while Seol-yu advises him not to accept the offer. Seol-yu frankly states that with such a small project, the compensation would never satisfy Hyun-soo Kim. She looks straight at Hyun-soo Kim, asking if he is still determined to pursue this project. Hyun-soo Kim affirms firmly that he still remembers the promise he made when he signed this contract. Seol-yu is stunned by Hyun-soo Kim's reply, her eyes widening in surprise. Hyun-soo Kim smiles lightly. He doesn't care about the money as long as he gets to act. That is enough. Seol-yu applauds Hyun-soo Kim's determination. Seol-yu reassures Hyun-soo Kim that her discouragement was not because she didn't believe in his abilities. As the head of the company, Seol-yu believes it is her responsibility to explain everything clearly. Seol-yu respects Hyun-soo Kim's final decision and promises to support him fully. Seol-yu finds the story intriguing and says she will contact the production team immediately. Even though the chances of getting the role aren't high, Seol-yu reminds Hyun-soo Kim to prepare himself. The next morning, at a cafe in Chungnyeoro. On his phone screen, Jang Go-mang is reviewing an intense scene. Jang Go-mang watches intently, his expression showing deep contemplation. Jang Go-mang, the director of Torso on the Blue, exclaims with genuine interest. Jang Go-mang wonders how Hyun-soo Kim could hide his tension so well. Jang Meng observes Hyunsa Kim with a skeptical gaze. Although he recognizes him as a talented actor, he feels that Hyunsa Kim's eyes are completely out of place for this film. In the quiet space, Jang Meng mutters to himself that someone with the eyes of a beast like Hyunsa Kim could never fit into a gentle romantic story. Jang Meng scrolls through his phone, thinking that Bloom certainly isn't short on talented actors to choose from. Looking at the photo on the screen, Jang Meng cannot help but wonder how Hyunsa Kim even knew about his project, let alone reaching out proactively. Jang Meng speaks up, asking directly to confirm the identity of the person in front of him. Hyunsa Kim smiles calmly and introduces himself to Jang Meng. Jang Meng is startled, his eyes showing clear confusion at this unexpected appearance.
Jang Meng cannot hide his bewilderment, wondering what on earth is going on.
Jang Meng observes Hyunsa Kim, exclaiming that his presence now is completely different from his initial impression. The meeting begins. Jang Meng sits across from Hyunsa Kim and Seol-yu in a tense atmosphere. Seol-yu takes the initiative, reiterating that the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss casting Hyunsa Kim for the lead role. Jang Meng interrupts, asking for permission to pose a question before diving into the main agenda. Jang Meng stares directly at Mr. Kim, questioning how he even learned about this project. Jang Meng frankly expresses his surprise that an actor would proactively seek out such an obscure film and an unknown director like himself. Jang Meng asserts that he deeply values this collaboration, regardless of how low the film's budget might be. Jang Meng questions the true motive, as it is clearly not a project with any profit potential. Hyunsa Kim calmly responds, admitting that the story of the film itself had left a profound impression on him. Jang Meng appreciates the compliment but still requests a more concrete and convincing reason. Hyunsa Kim repeats Jang Meng's question, his eyes flashing with a deep, unreadable contemplation. A silence falls over them. Hyunsa Kim remains quiet, preparing to reveal the truth. Jang Meng is stunned by the unexpected answer from Hyunsa Kim. In the dead of night, as the wind howls, Seol-yu whispers someone's name with lingering agony. Seol-yu's hand brushes gently, touching a silhouette in the darkness. Seol-yu bursts into tears, asking why he returned if he was going to choose to leave her in the end anyway. The man before Seol-yu remains silent, tears streaming uncontrollably down his face. The man replies softly, his voice heavy with sadness, saying he had no choice but to come here. The man looks at Seol-yu, asserting that this is the moment she must leave. Jang Meng is shaken. The emotions in Hyunsa Kim's eyes make him struggle to believe what he is witnessing. Jang Meng tells himself that he could never have created such a genuine expression on his own. Jang Meng cannot believe what he has just heard, his shock clearly written all over his face. Hyunsa Kim sits there, his gaze resolute as he makes a daring proposal to Jang Meng and Seol-yu. Jang Meng is stunned. He never expected to be invited to participate in such a mysterious film project. Both Jang Meng and Seol-yu cannot hide their astonishment at the sudden offer from Hyunsa Kim. The atmosphere in the cafe seems to settle, leaving only the murmurs of untold stories. Hyunsa Kim begins to peel back the past, asking Jang Meng about the tragic ferry sinking off the west coast. Jang Meng reflects on what he had previously researched regarding this tragedy. Information about a brave deep-sea diver who sacrificed himself during the mission is mentioned. That diver was posthumously awarded a medal and recognized as a national hero. Jang Meng confesses that he knew absolutely nothing about the incident until he read through the summary. Hyunsa Kim affirms that this film is the work inspired by that very heartbreaking story. A photograph is placed on the table, and the story begins with the loss of a single human life. Jang Meng is bewildered. He cannot disclose the person's identity due to the family's request for confidentiality. Hyunsa Kim explains that this statue was created by an artist grieving the loss of a loved one in the accident. As soon as he understands the story behind the statue, Jang Meng realizes a horrifying truth. Jang Meng realizes he is compelled to turn this story into the film of his life. Jang Meng's heart races as the pieces of the past gradually connect in his mind. The shadow of the deceased diver emerges, consuming Jang Meng's thoughts in this fateful moment. An enthusiastic celebration erupts as the show hits a massive milestone, with viewership ratings soaring past the 20% mark. Hyunsa was still behind the wheel, taken aback by Kang Ji-han's new way of addressing him and wondering since when he started calling him older brother. Hyunsa smiles and accepts the title, while Kang Ji-han continues to rave with pride about the 20% figure. The show's ratings climb higher every week, cementing its status as the undisputed king of weekend television. Beyond the stellar performances of the veteran cast, the synergy of a tight script and the magnetic appeal of Ji-hun Lee have created an undeniable phenomenon. As the series reaches its midpoint, Hyunsa begins discussing the upcoming special interview scheduled for prime time. Hyunsa shares that even though he has already gone over the script, everything is subject to change depending on the situation. Kang Ji-han quickly reassures him, reminding Hyunsa that this is just a pre-recording and there is no need to be so nervous. A sense of unease washes over him, and Hyansu tells himself that something about this doesn't feel right at all.
Hyansu enters the room, and the atmosphere seems to grow heavy. Hyansu's gaze meets Ji-Lee's, and he offers a hesitant greeting.
Ji-Lee appears, looking elegant in a luxurious evening gown. Her beauty seems to brighten the entire space. Ji-Lee arrives with a radiant face, her delicate beauty shining through every feature. Hyansu is flustered when he replies to Ms. Ju, her appearance leaving him completely stunned.
Ms. Ju gently points out that they've skipped the usual formalities, while Hyansu struggles to find an explanation. Hyansu's unexpected compliment makes Ms. Ju blush, and she asks him about it, clearly taken by surprise. Ms. Ju laughs it off, wondering if she overdid her makeup, leaving Hyansu standing there speechless. Ms. Ju confidently asserts her professionalism as an actress, leaving Hyansu filled with admiration.
Hyansu hesitates when Ms. Ju asks him what he has really thought of her all this time. Suddenly, a hand reaches out and grabs Hyansu's shoulder with force. The firm grip causes Hyansu to freeze, and the air instantly turns tense. Manhwa Jang appears with an enigmatic smile, asking Hyansu about how his life has been lately. Manhwa Jang doesn't forget to tease him about the rejected drinking invitations, acting as if he's offended that Hyansu forgot his old friend. Manhwa Jang pats Hyansu's shoulder familiarly, leaving him feeling awkward due to this excessive enthusiasm. Manhwa Jang cheerfully greets Ms. Ju, but his gaze keeps shifting back to Hyansu with obvious excitement. Ms. Ju sarcastically notes that Manhwa Jang has been living quite well thanks to Hyansu's help. Clips of Ji-Lee and Manhwa Jang are taking social media by storm, grabbing massive public attention.
An urgent announcement sounds. There are only 5 minutes left until recording, and everyone is told to prepare immediately.
Hyansu tells himself that although he was very nervous just a moment ago, he now feels strangely calm.
Hyansu was lost in thought, wondering which interesting stories he should share first.
Manhwa Jang jokingly suggests finishing work early to go grab a beer, while Ji-Lee coldly reminds him of his responsibilities as an actor, asserting that work is work regardless of the atmosphere. Ji-Lee turns back, urging Hyansu to hurry up and keep pace with the group.
Manhwa Jang excitedly cheers for Hyansu to take the lead, leaving him completely bewildered. Hyansu takes a decisive step forward, ready for whatever is coming next.
The interview begins with Hyansu, Manhwa Jang, Ji-Lee, and Han Soo-hyun all seated together.
Manhwa Jang laughs loudly, recalling the memory of the first script reading with Hyansu, which makes him quite sentimental. Han Soo-hyun smiles faintly, admitting that she was initially worried about the production team's decision, but the trailer proved everyone wrong. Watching the professionalism of his seniors, Hyansu secretly hopes he can deliver some insightful answers. Manhwa Jang suddenly asks a question about Hyansu's skyrocketing popularity.
Hyansu modestly replies that he isn't sure, as he usually just stays home reading scripts, which leaves everyone curious if he is preparing for a new project. Hyansu hesitated, about to explain, while Manhwa Jang behind him was frantically signaling him to stop.
Manhwa Jang kept waving his hands, desperately trying to prevent Hyansu from saying something he shouldn't. Hyansu continued his story, revealing the name of his next project. Hyansu expressed his hope that the project would indeed be the second season of the show, Stained by Your Darkness. A look of genuine sincerity appeared on Hyansu's face as he spoke about the work he was so passionate about. The interviewer, surprised, asked if Hyansu had already started filming the second season, to which Hyansu laughed and replied that he was simply expressing his love for the experience of working on the first. Hyansu thought to himself that such an answer was good enough, while the director behind him also looked satisfied. The interviewer then asked a question to all three of them about what Stained by Your Darkness meant to them. Ji-Lee shared that the show made her realize the importance of having great chemistry with her co-stars. Manhwa Jang confessed that the project made him realize that acting is an inseparable part of his life.
Hyansu opened up, saying that for him, the project came into his life like a ray of warm sunshine.
Hyansu's eyes lit up as he finished his emotional response.
Next day, at a traditional Korean restaurant, another crucial meeting began. Ms. Ju reminded Hyansu that she had heard about his impressive performance during the interview.
Ms. Ju remarked that Hyansu was very professional and completely ready for variety shows.
Hyansu humbly thanked her, while Ms. Ju affirmed that he had done a great job and that they would be reducing his workload from now on. Ms. Ju set her chopsticks down and began discussing the progress of another project she wanted Hyansu to pay attention to. Hyansu anxiously asked if something had gone wrong, but Ms. Ju calmly replied that it wasn't exactly a problem. Ms. Ju spoke up, confirming that the lead actress for the project had officially been chosen. Hyansu, surprised, asked about her identity, making the atmosphere at the table heavy with curiosity.
Ms. Ju began to lead the conversation with a probing question for Hyansu.
She mentioned the name Guardian Girls, a group that Hyansu seemed to have never heard of. Hyansu was stunned, trying to search his memory for the unfamiliar name just mentioned. Ms. Ju sighed. She wasn't at all surprised by his lack of knowledge about the group. She explained that Guardian Girls was never a famous group to begin with.
Ms. Ju continued to recount their lackluster history, starting from their failed band concept 8 years ago.
They later pivoted to a dance idol image, but even that couldn't save their career. The small agency quickly went bankrupt, forcing the members to go their separate ways.
Ms. Ju bluntly remarked that calling them has-beens was an understatement.
She delivered a final blow, asserting that, more accurately, they were just a group of nobodies.
Hyeonsu was still confused as to why Ms. Ju was being so harsh about this group.
Suddenly, Hyeonsu interrupted, insisting that he knew exactly who they were. With high confidence, he asked if there was anyone in this country who didn't know Guardian Girls. Hyeonsu passionately recited the group's emotional lyrics as if reliving old memories. Ms. Ju was shocked. She was stunned by his strange behavior and wondered if he was drunk.
Hyeonsu clenched his fists, fervently talking about Seori's legendary guitar solo. Ms. Ju was still dumbfounded, looking at him with a bewildered, inquisitive gaze.
With tears welling up in his eyes, Hyeonsu choked out that Guardian Girls were the angels who had saved his life during his military service. Heartfelt words of hope resonate, evoking dreams that will soar to the very ends of the universe.
Yeokco looks at Mr. Kim in surprise, skeptically asking if he has had a little too much to drink.
It turns out those were the lyrics from Guardian Girls' debut album, a hit track synonymous with Seori's masterful guitar playing. Yeokco is still shaken, hesitatingly repeating the nostalgic name, Guardian Girls. Hyeonsu Kim emotionally confesses that their music became his spiritual pillar, helping him endure the hardships of his military service. Both Yeokco and Jonggo Mang are stunned by this unexpected revelation, unable to hide their astonishment. Yeokco exclaims in surprise, admitting that she never imagined Mr. Kim had such a soulful side. Hyeonsu Kim calmly turns his gaze towards Seolyu and softly calls her name. Hyeonsu Kim continues the conversation, wanting to confirm Seolyu's identity. Jonggo Mang confirms that it is indeed Seori, the former member of Guardian Girls who was just cast as the lead, Seolyu, for the new film project. Jonggo Mang announces that both lead roles have been filled and that the script reading session will take place soon.
Once casting was finalized, the film project immediately entered the pre-production phase.
At the production company's headquarters, everything is ready for the first meeting. Hyeonsu Kim is the first to arrive, sitting quietly in the conference room to prepare for the script reading.
Jonggo Mang walks in and is surprised to see that Hyeonsu Kim is already there early.
Hyeonsu Kim stands up and bows respectfully, while Jonggo Mang laughs it off, saying there's no need to be so formal. Jonggo Mang looks at the script filled with detailed notes and cannot help but admire Hyeonsu Kim's dedication. Jonggo Mang asks Hyeonsu Kim to take a new copy of the script and expresses his sincere gratitude for him agreeing to join the film. Hyeonsu Kim startles slightly at a noise, his eyes shifting toward the door.
Jonggo Mang walks over to welcome Yeokco, expressing concern that she is traveling alone.
Hyeonsu Kim approaches and politely introduces himself to Yeokco, causing her to jump at his sudden appearance. Yeokco smiles warmly as she shakes Hyeonsu Kim's hand, sharing that he looks much gentler in person than he does on television.
Yeokco is a veteran actress, one who has always commanded respect from younger generations of actors in the industry.
Mr. Kim walks in, his face revealing a somber expression.
Mr. Kim offers a brief, formal greeting to Jonggo Mang. A young actor enters the room and is surprised to see that everyone has already gathered. Seolyu enters shortly after, flashing an embarrassed smile, thinking she is the last one to arrive.
Familiar faces from the theater and indie film scene have all gathered to begin the project. The official script reading begins with the entire cast present in a very serious atmosphere. During the reading, Seolyu takes the initiative to talk to Mr. Kim, expressing her admiration for a film he was in and asking for his autograph. Mood lightens as another person expresses excitement, mentioning that their daughter was very surprised to hear Seolyu would be working with Mr. Kim. Hyeonsu Kim is stunned, his eyes widening in surprise at everyone's enthusiasm. Suddenly, a mishap occurs. Seolyu bursts into the conference room, stumbling and falling with a sharp thud. The entire room goes silent as Seolyu sprawls on the floor right in the middle of the important meeting. Seolyu lets out a soft cry of pain, her face clearly showing embarrassment at her own clumsiness. But immediately, Seolyu regains her radiant demeanor, her eyes sparkling with determination to ease the tension. Still sitting on the floor, Seolyu hastily bows to greet everyone and introduces herself with all seriousness.
A hand is extended, ready to help Seolyu up from the cold floor.
Hyeonsu Kim stands there, kindly reaching out to ask if Seolyu is alright after her fall. On the table, the scripts lie open, waiting for the actors to begin embodying their roles. A close-up shot of the script pages where the lines for the opening scene begin to materialize. The script describes a beach scene where Seolyu desperately searches for someone's silhouette. The meeting room is silent, preparing for the official character introduction. Seol-yu stands up straight, regaining her composure and affirming her determination not to let the recent incident affect their work. Seol-yu gently takes her seat while Yeok-seo observes her with a thoughtful gaze. Yeok-seo silently evaluates her, convinced that director Jang Go-meng made the right choice in casting Seol-yu as the lead actress. Yeok-seo looks toward Hyunsa Kim, sensing that he too is feeling the pressure of this new role. Hyunsa Kim is highly focused, his face showing a clear sense of seriousness as he prepares to step into his character. Yeok-seo smiles subtly, remarking on Hyunsa Kim's somewhat awkward demeanor, likening him to a confused ear. Yeok-seo smiles gently, introduces herself, and encourages everyone to give it their all. It is now Mr. Kim's turn to introduce the character he will be portraying. Mr. Kim shares details about his role as Julie and the guesthouse owner he is set to embody. Hyunsa Kim clearly states his name and his role as Jeon-ho Lee, promising to dedicate himself fully to the project. Director Jang Go-meng smiles, greeting the entire crew and hoping for their enthusiastic support. Applause breaks out, marking a promising start to the script reading session. Jang Go-meng quickly stabilizes the atmosphere, holds the script in his hand, and suggests diving straight into the analysis of the stage directions. The script opens with a scene of Seol-yu running along the beach with her friends. Seol-yu excitedly expresses her love for the ocean in the opening scene. Hyunsa Kim nods slightly, silently appreciating Seol-yu's immersion in the role, feeling that things aren't going badly at all. Yeok-seo kindly asks why Hyunsa Kim has come to the beach in the middle of the freezing winter while inviting him into the heated room. Seol-yu smiles in response, feeling that this place is even more beautiful than in the photos. She is glad they decided to come here. Looking into the distance, Seol-yu whispers that this place has always kept its pristine beauty just like before. Seol-yu turns to look straight ahead, the gentle smile on her lips masking the surging thoughts in her heart. Hyunsa Kim sits quietly, the room is enveloped in silence, with only the soft breathing of him and Seol-yu audible. Hyunsa Kim's face tightens, his gaze pensive as distant memories come flooding back, invading his mind. Seol-yu questions herself, confused as to why she has appeared before Hyunsa Kim once again. Fate seems to be playing with them. In his dream, Hyunsa Kim sinks into the freezing winter sea, his body completely paralyzed by the cold water, hopelessly unable to return to Seol-yu. Can someone with a heart of ice like Hyunsa Kim truly grasp this bone-chilling cold? Will Seol-yu's warmth ever find its way back? Emotions shatter, leaving behind only the unbearable pain of watching Seol-yu suffer like this. Hyunsa Kim reaches out a hand, slowly touching the empty air as if to hold on to the last remaining sliver of warmth. Hyunsa Kim's lips move slightly, but the words he meant to speak are frozen solid by the coldness of reality. Hyunsa Kim looks directly at Seol-yu and softly calls her name, his voice sounding lost in the still space. Yeok-seo is stunned, her eyes wide with shock as if she has just witnessed something beyond her imagination. Mr. Kim cannot hide his bewilderment, his face turning pale at the sudden change in the atmosphere. Those around them look toward Hyunsa Kim in terror, as if they have just realized a horrific secret. Seol-yu and Mr. Kim are both terrified, the panic evident on their faces as they realize the situation has completely spiraled out of control. Seol-yu stands frozen in place, her eyes wide, her breathing rapid as she realizes that Hyunsa Kim's presence right now is deeply unsettling. Seol-yu's pupils constrict, intense fear creeping into her mind as she realizes something is terribly wrong. Hyunsa Kim coldly reminds Seol-yu to read her lines, as it is her turn. Seol-yu snaps out of her trance, stammering an apology for her lack of focus just now. Doubt stirred within Seol-yu's heart, and she couldn't help but wonder what on earth had just happened to her. Seol-yu's face was filled with bewilderment, and cold sweat began to bead on her forehead. Seol-yu pondered, all Hyunsa Kim had done was call her name, yet why did it feel so terrifying? Hyunsa Kim stood there, the pressure radiating from him making Seol-yu feel as though she were standing before a bottomless abyss. The question about Jeon-ho keeps haunting his mind, could it really be him? The tension at the meeting table grows thick. Jeon-ho wonders if he's still dreaming after a night of heavy drinking. Mr. Yu immediately retorts, reminding Jeon-ho that he rarely dreams and has a notoriously low alcohol tolerance. Worried gaze of the young lady seems to pierce straight into Jeon-ho's soul. Jeon-ho responds softly, and the admission of his longing makes the atmosphere heavy and somber. Shock is written all over the young lady's face upon hearing this unexpected confession. Those around them cannot hide their astonishment at the extraordinary turn of events at the meeting table. A ripple of amazement spreads. It seems Jeon-ho has completely upended the established order. All eyes turn toward Jeon-ho, filled with an indescribable sense of suspicion. It feels as though they've been pulled into a vortex. The dynamics of the meeting have shifted completely after that moment. Young lady cries out in disbelief, unable to fathom having to head to the sea in this bone-chilling cold. She continues to grumble, warning of the deadly dangers of the sea on a winter night. Meanwhile, Jeon-ho remains calm, asking about charcoal, leaving everyone baffled by his true intentions.
Seol excitedly suggests a location, convinced it's the perfect place to wrap up their trip.
Ji-eun-ho provides subtle acting directions, demanding precise adjustments to the intensity of the scene. After a moment of contemplation, Ji-eun-ho decides to reshoot the previous scene, feeling it still lacks perfection. A faint, soft sigh echoes through the quiet space.
Young lady's patience is gradually reaching its breaking point.
She suddenly realizes her mistake. Hyeonsu was never the one being hunted as she had once believed.
The young lady's eyes narrow as the truth of the situation flashes before her.
It turns out that Ji-eun-ho was the true predator in this game.
This is the origin point of a haunting acting talent.
Despite her incessant grumbling, Ji-eun-ho admits that everyone has done an excellent job.
Ji-eun-ho cheerfully asks for everyone's opinion on the film, wondering if it will be a success. Mr. Kim shoots a meaningful glance toward his colleagues. Mr. Kim realizes that Ji-eun-ho holds secrets far beyond what is displayed on the screen. They understand that the director's trump card isn't Lee Seo-jeon.
It is, in fact, Ji-eun-ho, the one holding the key to the entire film. If they can only grasp a fraction of the depth in Ji-eun-ho's acting, everything will change.
This film is destined to become a masterpiece that far exceeds everyone's expectations.
A sharp round of applause rings out, signaling the end of the meeting. Mr. Kim coldly declares the cancellation of the wrap-up party, leaving the group stunned.
Hyeonsu speaks up in surprise, but Mr. Kim maintains his composed demeanor.
Mr. Kim sees right through each person's heart and decides it is time to get to work.
Detailed information will be sent to the representatives later. Today's session concludes with applause. A sharp gunshot cracks through the air, shattering the silence. Hyeonsu screams in agony, questioning the true nature of the relationship between her and the other party.
News that the film has hit a record-breaking 26.23% rating spreads, throwing Hyeonsu into the eye of the storm. Ji-eun-ho excitedly asks about the prospects of winning at the year-end awards ceremony. Ji-eun-ho humbly downplays his own abilities in the face of all the praise.
An enigmatic challenge echoed from outside the vehicle.
Two looked at each other in confusion, unable to grasp what was happening. The crowd cheered wildly as if an idol had just appeared. Ji-eun-ho said his goodbyes and made plans to meet again at the wrap-up party. Footsteps rang out, signaling the arrival of a new character.
Cameras flashed incessantly, with Ji-eun surrounded by questions about the show's ending.
Hyeonsu turned her head upon hearing her name being called.
Hyeonsu's polished appearance drew every eye in the room. Hyeonsu and Ji-eun-ho reunited at their usual barbecue spot.
Mr. Kim pulled up a chair and shared some insights about the customs of wrap-up parties. Mr. Jang appeared with a friendly demeanor, greeting everyone warmly. Mr. Yu retorted with a sarcastic question directed at Mr. Jang. The young lady, Tu Thursday, replied calmly, asserting an undeniable truth.
Loud laughter echoed throughout the restaurant, dispelling the initial tension. Mr. Kim raised his glass, extending his heartfelt gratitude to the young lady and the actors.
Mr. Yu opened up about the difficulties they had endured and shared his hopes for the future. Drinks were poured, and an invitation for future collaboration was extended to Mr. Kim. Young lady confirmed that she would reserve a role specifically for Mr. Kim in the upcoming project. Mr. Yu felt left out and spoke up to claim his own share of the benefits. A character appeared, commenting on the group's strong bond. Mr. Kim gave an enigmatic smile, assuring Mr. Yu that given just one opportunity, he would give his all to prove his capability. Mr. Yu interrupted, subtly reminding Mr. Kim of another project he was involved in, one with a rather strange title called Torso on the Blue. To the surprise of those around them, Mr. Kim calmly clarified that Torso on the Blue was a feature film, not a TV series.
Everyone was stunned by Mr. Kim's sudden decision to pivot towards cinema.
Mr. Yu continued to tease an attractive offer the studio had just received, making the atmosphere more curious than ever. Mr. Kim introduced the new director, Jang Go-mang, a name still quite unfamiliar in the commercial film industry. Mr. Yu expressed his blunt opinion that television dramas often come with certain limitations, making it hard for actors to fully showcase their true talent. Mr. Yu took a sip of his drink, noting that Ji-eun had also been constrained by those limits and that Mr. Kim's abilities only truly shine when performing live. The group discussed the idea of Ji-eun starring in a romance film, a prospect they found hard to imagine. Contrary to everyone's skepticism, Seol believed that Mr. Kim could absolutely handle the role well. Seol affirmed that Mr. Kim possessed a special ability to make his co-stars feel at ease. Feeling there was nothing more to say, Seol quickly changed the subject to Hyeonsu, expressing her confidence in her upcoming performance. The party continued in a cozy atmosphere, with everyone raising their glasses and sharing joyful moments. The young lady and her colleagues carefully cut the cake, marking a memorable milestone for the entire team. The crew members gathered together, listening to heartfelt speeches during the dinner party. Hyeonsu was overcome with emotion, tears streaming down her cheeks as she shared her feelings with everyone. The young lady gently asked after Mr. Yu, who also couldn't hold back his emotions and burst into tears. Mr. Yu gripped the microphone with trembling hands as if trying to hold on to this emotional moment. Mr. Kim stood up, took the microphone, and gently stated that since everything that needed to be said had already been said, he would keep his summary brief. Mr. Kim's gaze was steadfast as he prepared to deliver his final heartfelt words to the entire film crew. Everyone listens intently, their eyes filled with trust and a deep sense of connection to one another. Jian looks around the room, a confident smile evident on his face as he feels the team's unity. The party concludes with congratulations on a job well done for everyone, marking the beginning of a new chapter. Time flies by, and a month later, everything is prepared for the next big step. Footsteps echo, signaling the arrival of the film crew on set. Izao John makes an appearance, looking radiant and ready for an exciting first day of work. Ian, who is also present, wearing a confident smile as the first day of filming for Torso on the Blue has finally arrived. Amidst the narrow alleys of Yuljiro, Seoul, a quaint, vintage cafe sits quietly, marking the beginning of a nostalgic cinematic journey. The film crew is bustling with preparations for a flashback scene featuring Jianho and Seolyu revisiting a love story from 10 years ago. Jianho steps onto the set, flashing a radiant smile as he greets everyone. Hyunsa Kim looks up from his desk, smiling to welcome Jianho. Hyunsa Kim pats Jianho on the shoulder, expressing his admiration for the recent massive success of their drama, even though he himself is under no small amount of pressure. Jianho shares his anxiety about being all over the headlines before the drama even began, while Jang Go-meng can only offer a wry smile. Jang Go-meng reassures Jianho that being sought after by the media is something every director dreams of. Now is the time for Jianho to focus on delivering his performance. Seolyu beams, promising Jang Go-meng that she will also give it her all. Seolyu turns to greet Hyunsa Kim, surprised to see that he had arrived on set so early. Jianho thinks to himself that although Seolyu is a young actress, in terms of her past experience as an idol, she is actually his true senior. Jianho smiles, ready for the upcoming directions. Jang Go-meng begins briefing everyone, confirming that today's scenes will focus entirely on the past story of Jianho and Seolyu. Jang Go-meng instructs Jianho and Seolyu to keep their spirits relaxed, performing as lightly as if they were in a musical film. Seolyu questions if Jang Go-meng wants to prioritize a gentle mood over intense drama. Jang Go-meng nods in agreement, asking everyone to get ready to start filming. Seolyu turns to Jianho, briefly explaining that Jang Go-meng wants them to act as naturally and comfortably as possible. Seolyu trusts Jianho's acting ability, even if Jang Go-meng's directing style can be a bit vague at times. Jianho is surprised to see how quickly Seolyu grasped the intent, and she smiles, admitting it was all thanks to his help. Seolyu looks puzzled, not quite understanding what she did to help Jianho. Jianho recalls his time in the military when he had watched Seolyu's music videos so many times he lost count. Jianho hands the script to Seolyu, hoping they can go over it together before the rehearsal begins. Seolyu happily accepts, ready to support her co-star. Jang Go-meng watches Jianho and Seolyu from afar, smiling in satisfaction at the chemistry between them. Jang Go-meng reminds everyone to hurry as there isn't much time left before sunset. A shout rings out as scene 39, the summer midday date at the cafe, officially begins. The clapperboard snaps shut with a crisp sound, signaling the start of the take. Filming officially begins. The scene of the cafe appears, peaceful in the afternoon sun. Seolyu waits by the cafe window, forced once again to wait for Jianho because he is late again. Even though she sees Jianho walking toward her, Seolyu intentionally looks out the window, acting pouty. Seolyu rests her chin on her hand, bluntly asking if she can sit at the same table as Hyunsa Kim. Hyunsa Kim doesn't hesitate to reply that he fell for Seolyu at first sight. Seolyu squints in disbelief, questioning how Hyunsa Kim can claim she is a kind person when this is their first time meeting. Hyunsa Kim beams, asserting that is exactly why they need to get to know each other better. Seolyu clicks her tongue, sarcastically remarking that she won't easily fall for his cheesy pickup lines. Responding to her skepticism, Hyunsa Kim suddenly pulls her into an affectionate hug. Hyunsa Kim whispers an apology for being late while still holding her tightly. Seolyu is caught off guard but softens her tone, saying she will let him off the hook this time. Hyunsa Kim smiles tenderly, confessing that he truly missed her. Suddenly, a shout from Jang Go-meng cuts through the romantic atmosphere between them. Jang Go-meng looks at Hyunsa Kim with a probing gaze, questioning him with deep suspicion. A heavy silence settles, enveloping both Seolyu and Hyunsa Kim. Jang Go-meng speaks up cautiously, wanting to confirm something with Hyunsa Kim. Jang Go-meng asks point-blank whether Hyunsa Kim has ever met Seolyu in the past. Hyunsa Kim appears bewildered by Jang Go-meng's unexpected question. Jang Go-meng presses him, asking how Hyunsa Kim could portray such genuine emotions from the very first take if there was no prior connection with Seolyu.
In another corner, Seol-yu is intently observing the conversation between Hyunsu Kim and Jang-go Meng. Seol-yu wonders to herself, not quite understanding what just happened between Hyunsu Kim and Jang-go Meng. Seol-yu cannot forget how her heart raced just like when she was reading the script, making her wonder if other actors always feel this way. Seol-yu confides that despite having performed in many plays, she has never felt this strange sensation as she does when working with Hyunsu Kim. Seol-yu is convinced that Hyunsu Kim possesses a special ability that other actors lack. Hyunsu Kim stands there, lost in thought, contemplating Seol-yu's strange attitude. Hyunsu Kim wonders if Seol-yu is still unsatisfied with his acting. The prolonged silence between Hyunsu Kim and Seol-yu makes the atmosphere even more tense. Hyunsu Kim cautiously asks Jang-go Meng if there is anything he is dissatisfied with. Hyunsu Kim admits to Jang-go Meng that he might have gone a bit overboard in the scene with Seol-yu just now. Jang-go Meng looks at Hyunsu Kim, confusedly asking what he means. Jang-go Meng is stunned, letting out a gasp of astonishment at Hyunsu Kim's response. The image of Hyunsu Kim hugging Seol-yu flashes vividly in Jang-go Meng's mind. Jang-go Meng admits to Hyunsu Kim that he was a bit hasty in his assessment. Jang-go Meng expresses his admiration for the others' outstanding performance to the point where he himself is in awe of their ability to coordinate the scene. Seol-yu watches curiously while Jang-go Meng gestures for her to come closer to review the scene on the monitor. Jang-go Meng points at the screen, offering a deep analysis of the prop arrangement and framing to question the true focus of the scene. Seol-yu is stunned, her eyes wide with shock as if she has just realized a startling truth. Jang-go Meng notes that even though the original goal was to highlight Seol-yu, all those elements had been completely swallowed by Ji-eunhoo's overwhelming performance. Seol-yu is horrified, cold sweat running down her forehead as she realizes the disparity in their acting levels. Hyunsu Kim narrows his eyes, reflecting on the misplaced tension in his own performance. Whether it was during the script reading or the actual filming, Hyunsu Kim realizes that he is not the one truly controlling the emotions of the scene. It is the overwhelming presence of Ji-eunhoo that is consuming every perspective. It is Ji-eunhoo. More accurately, Ji-eunhoo is looking at Seol-yu, the character she is playing, as if she were truly Haeon. The emotions projected by the character Ji-eunhoo portrays contain a sense of emptiness, a chilling stillness. But conversely, the emotions Ji-eunhoo brings are nothing like that. They are incredibly vivid and intense, almost beyond belief. If this continues, everything about Seol-yu's role will be devoured by Ji-eunhoo. That overwhelming dominance makes all of Seol-yu's efforts appear faint in the face of Ji-eunhoo's lead. The clear sky outside the building stands in stark contrast to the heavy thoughts clouding Hyunsu Kim's mind. Hyunsu Kim sits quietly on his bed, script in hand, sinking deep into thoughts about the recent performance. Suddenly, his phone on the table vibrates, breaking the silence. Hyunsu Kim picks up, listening to the caller ask about the filming schedule while also reminding him of the promised drinks. Hyunsu Kim smiled and retorted, asserting that his opponent still had much to learn, for actors are, in reality, nothing more than part-time unemployed individuals. The person on the other end of the line scoffed, surprised that Hyunsu Kim had actually been the one to initiate the call. Hyunsu Kim went straight to the point, asking if his acting ability was the reason behind the situation. Hyunsu Kim's gaze sharpened, waiting for the confirmation from the other side.